Hello there. You're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We will also be doing the first in our series of Star Wars specials. This time we will be doing the sequels in honor of the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens. And we will be talking all about a very beloved franchise of ours leading up to the 50th anniversary of the original Star Wars' release.
Straight into our box office breakdown for the Thanksgiving weekend. We're talking about the 5-day and the 3-day totals. For Zootopia 2, coming in first, its 3-day total was $100 million, and its 5-day Thanksgiving outing was $158 million. It gobbled up the box office for Turkey Day.
It sure did, and it had a pretty sizable worldwide opening as well. I think it was on par, maybe a little bit above Moana 2 from last year, which of course set records and it was over like 380 million, something like that. So quite a big debut for Zootopia 2, which is one of your films. So how are you feeling about this one? You need it to be your big juggernaut.
It's pretty good. I just really hope Avatar bombs.
How dare you? And how dare you even think that Big Jim would fail in any way? It's not going to happen. So we'll see. It'll be an interesting holiday season, though, because they'll be going toe-to-toe. But Wicked for Good in second place was 91 million for the 5-day and 61 for the 3-day. So it had a pretty good outing in its second weekend. Although overseas, people are not as hopped up on the pink and green as people are here in the States. So that's a little concerning. So it possibly won't hit the original Wicked's total.
That's on your roster, right?
That sure is.
Mm-hmm. How does that feel, huh?
Not ideal, but it'll definitely, 600 million to 700 million. If it does that, it'll still be well within, most of the films in our rosters. So instead of being, beating out your Minecraft, it was like close to $1 billion. So it wouldn't be close to that. But I think your next film is what? You got Fantastic Four, you got F1, you got How to Train Your Dragon. They're all kind of in that 600 mil range. So if this beats that, hey, it did what it needed to do. And it'll allow Avatar to come through and save the day.
Avatar's going to shit the bed.
No, how could you? Never once.
It will. In third place, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, with $10 million in the 5-day.
Predator Badlands had 6.6 million.
And then The Running Man made 5.5 million.
Eternity, 5.2 million.
Rental Family, 3.1 million.
Wake Up Dead Man, 1.6 million in its limited release before it went to Netflix.
Hamnet, 1.3 million.
And Sisu Road to Revenge with 1.1 million.
All right, let's do our box office predictions for the upcoming weekend of December 5th to the 7th. One new release, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Ryan, do you think it will do better than the first installment, or do you think it will fall flat?
So the first installment had a crazy opening. And this was during the day and date release as well for Peacock, which it didn't need to do. It wasn't, pandemic times for that. So they just didn't have much faith in it, but the fan base came out and it went to 80 million in its opening. I don't think Five Nights at Freddy's 2 will be able to replicate that, but I still think it will be pretty huge. I'll go 65 million.
I'm going to go 55. I think there's just too many hits out right now. I think Zootopia 2 and Wicked kind of dominating the theaters right now. I think it'll be hard for Five Nights at Freddy's to scare up some audiences.
Very true. Yeah, it's a little bit more of an odd release date for it. Yeah. I don't know why it didn't come out in the October corridor, but
it would have cleaned up.
I think so too. Yeah, We've announced got all the Wicked and Zootopia right now, and then it's
Yeah,
gonna be followed up by Avatar. So hopefully it'll be
yeah.
able to make a good chunk of change. Are you planning on seeing Five Nights at Freddy's 2, or have you already seen it?
So I rewatched Five Nights at Freddy's 1 with Lillian and Christian because they were gonna go. We were watching it and then they went straight to watching it, but I had work the next day and it was like midnight when they went to go see it, and so I wasn't gonna stay up for another 2 hours to watch Five Nights at Freddy's 2. But
Yep.
because I went through the trouble of rewatching Five Nights at Freddy's 1, and because I've heard people say that they like Five Nights at Freddy's 2 more, I'm willing to give it a shot, and I will probably watch it. However, I'm most likely just going to stream it whenever it's streaming on Peacock or wherever it streams. I don't think I'm going to go to the theaters for this one.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I've heard. I mean, from them in particular, they were like, "Yeah, it's much better," and I'm like, "Okay,
Mm. It's
gonna dial
promising.
in." And there's been a couple kids I've tutored have brought it up, and they're like, "You need to go see it. It's great." And I'm like, "Well, you're a child, so I don't know if I trust you, but at least the main demographic is being, you know, are enjoying the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. So
Yeah.
maybe there's something there. But I feel like it would need to be like I would need to watch it with you. Like
Yeah,
it needs
I'll
to
watch
be
it.
a group setting or something.
You can come over and we can just do a movie night, yeah.
Because watching the first one when it came out, which again I was just alone, I was like, it just felt like a waste of time as I was watching. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need
It's
there
definitely
needs
more
to be
fun with other people.
chatter in the background or people making fun of like what's going on screen. So I feel like that would be the best viewing experience for me.
Sure. Like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 type feeling.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But yeah, we'll see. How many of these do you think they're going to crank out? Because this one, the
At least
budget
three.
is
There's
moving
at
pretty
least
low.
making one more. I don't know how long, because I think once Josh Hutchinson is done, I think the franchise kind of dies out at that point. I
You
think they
think?
run
I
out of.
mean,
I think
stars for
it's
the
already gonna have
main.
diminishing returns. I think the more they try to pump out of it, the like Despicable Me, those movies and the Minions movies, they have slight diminishing returns, but they still do so well at the box office that they're gonna keep churning them out until they bomb, which
Yeah,
will maybe never happen. But the Five Nights at Freddy's, like, it already started off like very strong for the kind of movie that it is, but not strong enough to where they will pump out thousands of sequels to like milk as much as possible. I think there's already diminishing returns. I see three coming out of this for sure, maybe a four. I don't think it's hitting five.
thing. Interesting. And there's so much lore, so I feel like they could go for a long time.
Possibly.
But we'll have to see how that goes. But let's talk about a different franchise, one that you and I actually love and grew
Perhaps
up
the
on.
ultimate franchise, the franchise to end all franchises.
I would agree with that. I'd say that'd be the case. I mean, it's a cinema grown franchise, right? It came out
Yeah.
Star Wars, the original one. I mean, it was original movie, and we've been having for again almost 50 years
Mhm.
now. These films come out.
Arguably one of the worst fan bases of all time because they're so passionate about it. Some of the most complicated and advanced lore of all time
Oh
being
yeah,
expanded upon in this series, and so much content, so much mainstream content
yeah.
that it feels, if you haven't started watching any of it by now, it feels almost impossible, almost like One Piece level amount of content to have to get through to be able to understand mainstream Star Wars, let alone the book series and the what is it called, the not official lore, the non-canon stuff,
Yeah, Legends.
legends, yeah, like canon stuff alone is going to be difficult to get through, let alone the non-canon content.
Hmm.
Video
But
games, thousands of video games, Legos, posters, toys, robots,
hmm
everything.
it's a
This
very
is
rich universe, and it is by far my favorite. Again, it's just one that I always love being a part of, even when there's some difficulties and rocky patches.
oof,
We've
yeah.
talked about some of that with the Disney Plus shows that they've had over the years, and still able to have some amazing gems go out of there, like Andor, of course.
Oh my
So
god, dude, so good.
so yeah, this is absolutely my favorite franchise of all time. As some of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love Star Wars. So I was excited
Mhm.
to finally be able to dive into this. This is one of those that we've had our ideas page, and the bulk of it was written probably in 2020, something like that, maybe even before
Sure.
then. And this one was on there way back when, the Star Wars specials. and it was just like, when are we going to dive into it? When are we going to do it?
Yeah.
Because we knew it was inevitable, but
Mhm.
when we were going to finally dive in and talk about everything that there is to talk about with these movies and how much they mean to us and all of that, we needed to find the right time. And coming up on the 50-year anniversary of Star Wars, which I was hoping, this is low key why I was wanting to wait so long, is because I was hoping that someone at Disney would be like, it would be awesome if we released the original movie in theaters, but not the special edition version, the actual original 1977 version, which for the longest time was like, this will never happen because George Lucas is, and he's the originator of this universe that we love so much.
Yeah.
But he's also like the number one enemy of the franchise for a long time. He since says, other villains have come in and taken his place, so he's chilling now. But the one thing that still makes him pretty villainous as far as Star Wars is the fact that he won't let us just see the original film. Like, it's absurd, in like good quality. So hopefully in 2027 we'll be able to get the 50th anniversary original edition of Star Wars. And there's been some inkling, some rumors, some chatter coming out of Disney and Lucasfilm that actually is being prepared. So that is going to be awesome.
That would be sick.
So in building up to that, where we'll do the original trilogy, once we hopefully are able to see the original film on the big screen, God, that'd be incredible. We can talk about the originals then, but we're going to start from the end, the sequels, the most recent trilogy that has come out. And it's fitting because it's the 10th year anniversary of The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
So I want us to walk down memory lane a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
You and I, we grew up loving Star Wars,
Oh yeah,
playing all the video games, playing all the Lego games,
dude.
reading
Battlefront.
books. Battlefront, of course. I
You
mean,
and I
hey,
both run a Battlefront.
a couple weeks ago we were playing Battlefront. So
Yeah, we were. OG Battlefront too. We were playing
so
PS2 Battlefront a few
oh
weeks ago.
yeah. So we definitely were well versed with this world. And then I assume you were, as I was, very plugged into like movie news, film news, especially around fandom stuff. And so with Star
Mhm.
Wars, it got purchased by Disney.
Yeah, the second they bought it for $4 billion, I was like, okay, now we're gonna get
It
some
was like
content.
something's happening. Yeah, something's going to change because Clone Wars, right, was
Mhm.
was around, and I watched that, as I'm sure you did as
Oh
well.
yeah, loved Clone Wars.
But that
Loved
was
the
kind of
movie. I watched the movie when it came out in theaters, and I liked it, even though a lot of people did not. And then I watched the show because I was like, "This is gonna be awesome," and it was. It was very, very hype. There are many, many episodes that I love. I love the episode where it's the five clones who are stuck on that one moon and they're
that
being
is a great
attacked and they
episode.
have to
Yeah,
escape, and then you can follow those clones' arcs throughout the rest of the show, and they
I
all die
do.
like one by one as the
I,
show goes on.
I
Ah,
love
dude, I
that
love
approach,
those.
the little anthology
Yeah.
style that
Oh
the
my
the
god, dude, so
series
good.
delved into. It was really
Mhm.
nice. So we'll have to do an episode on that at some point.
I gotta rewatch the show. Honestly, I love that show because there's it's like it reminds me of Adventure Time. There's like a lot of filler stuff that you kind of have to get through of like episodes that just don't really matter that much or are kind of lame or whatnot. But there are just some golden eggs in there that I think
Yeah,
are just perfect, just like Adventure Time.
some top tier arcs for
Oh
sure.
yeah, you
But
gotta
one of
watch Adventure
the
Time, dude.
I don't know about that.
That's the
Again,
hill
even
I'll die
as a
on,
kid, I was
dude.
not a fan of it. I was like, I don't want to watch this.
Bro,
So
that
I don't think
shit
it'll happen.
hits so hard.
Again, there's just some that don't, for whatever reason. It was not my cup of tea. So I didn't want to watch it. But Clone Wars, definitely was watching that. One of the, consequences of the Disney purchase was that Clone Wars got killed, which
Yeah,
I hated and still hate to this day. Again, they had Rebels, and I haven't watched
I
it.
never
A
watched
couple
Rebels
episodes.
ever.
Apparently not bad, but it's just a shame that they weren't able to continue the Clone Wars. And obviously now we've had closure on that, which is great, but
Great last
they
season,
never
dude.
should have done that. So anyway, we
Did you
knew
watch
that
the
there's
Bad
going to be.
Batch?
No, I haven't seen that. My
I started
dad
it, but I never
really liked
finished
it
it.
though, but I haven't done that. Again, the
Mhm.
animated stuff will take some time, but any live action stuff I will watch and have watched all of it, including the Skeleton Crew from earlier this year, which I
Crazy.
think
I
is
didn't watch
delightful,
that.
and I think you should watch it. But we knew more movies were on the way. You're not going to purchase Lucasfilm and Star Wars without cranking out some new ones. And of course, it was going to be the OG characters returning. So, how are you feeling in the lead up to this? Because there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh no, they're going to ruin it, or this going to, be not the same. They're not going to be able to live up to the hype." What were your feelings if you can go back to 14, 15-year-old Dylan
When
Johnson?
they announced it, bro, I was fucking hype. I thought that shit was
Hyped.
going to be sick. You and I, we are of the age that we didn't see any live action Star Wars movies in theaters get released. We were too
Mhm.
young. We weren't born when the originals came out by like 20 something years. And we were far too young when the originals came out. I mean, Phantom Menace came out before we were born, and then Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith came out when we were like like little babies. So
Yeah.
we didn't get to go see those in theaters. But we grew up on Star Wars. Like I watched the originals all the time with my dad. I played Battlefront with my brother all the time. I played Lego Star Wars with my brother all the time. I remember watching the sequels a lot as a kid. Phantom Menace was like my favorite when I was a child.
I think I have two versions of Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga on PSP and on Game Boy.
Dude, I have the GameCube one. I love. Wait, no. Yes. Okay, so they had Lego Star Wars 1, which was the prequel trilogy that I had on the PlayStation 2. Then I had Lego Star Wars 2, which was the original trilogy on GameCube. Then I got Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, which was basically both of those two games combined and slightly changed. And I
Hmm.
had that on the GameCube as well. And then they started making a bunch of random fucking Lego games. And then I got Lego Star Wars The Clone Wars. Did you ever play that one?
No, I don't think so.
It was based on like the first two seasons of the show, I think,
Yeah, no, I never had
and
that.
also the movie. I think that game was a lot of fun. And then I got the Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, whatever the one that just came out, and I did not like that one.
The Skywalker Saga.
The Skywalker Saga one, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Mason and I are still trying to get through that. We gotta do
not a fan.
it. It's just different, It's much different compared
Just
to what the old one
too
was. But
easy, way too
you
easy.
say that again. I need to. We need to play it again and see what the issue is.
You
'Cause,
you
yeah, there's no difficulty. You
you go
just
in the very first Lego Star Wars game and you play the pod racing and you tell me that shit's not hard because it is hard. Because Sebulba always fucking wins, dude. You have to really really be trying to beat Sebulba. You play
my
the
goat.
pod racing in the Skywalker Saga, bro. You never lose.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll need to see. And you crank the difficulty level all the way
I
to
don't think you
Jedi
can
Master or
change it.
whatever it
Can
is.
you change
You
it?
can. You can't change it.
I don't think you can change it in the
That's
Skywalker
crazy.
Saga.
Huh.
I think it's just that's the problem is it's a set standard level for little toddlers to win.
Now, why would
And
they do
I'm a
that?
big grown man. I'm obviously gonna win. I
Interesting.
have big, fully formed hands and a fully formed cerebral cortex, a frontal lobe. Like I'm gonna win this fucking game that was
Yeah,
designed for toddlers to win.
the like open map layout that they have though for like the hubs and whatnot,
Mhm.
where you can go through and like find a bunch of stuff. Like that's Mason and I would just spend a bunch of time doing that rather than doing
That
like
was always the most fun
stuff.
of a lot of those Lego games was the hubs for sure.
Yeah.
Like Lego Batman 2, when you have all of Gotham to play around in, that shit was the best.
Hmm. So yeah, I'll report back in one of our future Star Wars specials. I'll be like, it is way too easy, or
Yeah.
maybe you can up the difficulty. So
Maybe I'll
I'll let
pick
you
it
know
up
about
again.
that.
I still have the game. I just haven't touched it in years. Maybe I'll try
We
again.
should play the complete saga though. Run that
Dude,
back. That's fun,
come
dude.
over. I have it. I have it on GameCube.
The Mustafar level on Revenge of the Sith.
Oh
The
my
best.
god,
It's
dude.
the
When you're
best.
hopping around on the things. Oh, dude.
It's the best. I
Sick.
would die at various points in that level just so I could replay it again because I'm like, this is too fun. It's too
It's
dope.
awesome.
So that's how you know it's a great game is when you're like, let me intentionally reset the level because I just need more. So needless to say, we were hyped. We were absolutely hyped for it. And I will say, I think Endgame has surpassed it probably, but The Force Awakens had to be the most hyped thing
Oh yeah.
ever in pop culture. Like the amount of expectation for it, the press for everything around it. I mean, again, having all the original people come back together, like it was huge. It was massive, and you saw that reflected in the box office. Which, by the way, this show only exists because of the Force Awakens. Because
Yeah.
I got obsessed with tracking the box office of it and predicting. Like before it opened, I was predicting. I was like, "This is gonna hit $2 billion. This is gonna be insane." And then I watched it like every week. I would look at the numbers. I would be seeing what the trajectory is. And sure enough, it crossed $2 billion worldwide. Its opening was 247 million, which is far and away the biggest opening at the time.
Mm.
It is still in the top five. So Endgame, No Way Home, and I think maybe Infinity War just barely had beat it
Mm.
out. So still very impressive 10 years later. And as far as domestically, and again, this is why that 2 billion number is so impressive, because Star Wars is very much like an American franchise. Some of the other franchises that we had lately can have this worldwide appeal, stuff like Transformers, Pirates of the Caribbean, stuff like that, for whatever reason, connected really well. The original Star Wars came out when, overseas box office was not huge.
Yeah.
So not, many people in international territories would have that same connection as a lot of American movie fans. Domestically, $936 million,
Huge.
which is still the number one highest grossing movie domestically.
Yeah.
That's insane. Again, Endgame.
Americans ate that shit up.
Endgame had over 100 million more in its opening weekend. It opened to like 353 million, and it fell, I think, 80, 90 million below the Force Awakens total. That's how huge this was.
Everybody saw that shit, bro.
Yeah. I saw it multiple times in theaters, which I didn't do before that point. Like, because at that point I'm still, like, Mom, take me to the theaters. So it would be dependent on that. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go see this multiple times.
Mhm.
That's how hyped I was. So that's where we started out, right? All this hype, all this goodwill for the franchise as it makes its return, especially coming off the prequels, which, we'll talk about that in its whole thing, but left a very bad taste in everyone's mouth. So everyone was happy to get Star Wars again, hopefully good, and with the original trilogy rather than, the disgraced prequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the reputation of the sequels now, not a lot of goodwill.
No, man, worse than the prequels. Much worse than the
It's
prequels.
worse than the prequels now. Yeah,
the prequels are now
rebranding.
overhyped. People love the prequels now because of how bad the sequels are.
Yeah. So
I want to try and approach this though, as we speak about these movies, as positively as I possibly can, for the exact reason that I mentioned earlier, that these specials are, or this fandom is toxic and evil. It's very, very
evil,
very bad and mean. They are like the amalgamation of George Lucas's spirit.
I will say this to you, and we'll get to this when we talk about Last Jedi, of course. But you've heard, or I brought up on the show, the fandom menace is like what they call it, especially like the Star Wars people. But it's insane how this happened a bit with the Force Awakens, but especially with the Last Jedi.
Oh my god!
How much like the rage bait,
bro, racism and death threats,
all of that for sure is insane. But just the divisiveness that comes out of it, and then the vendetta that the fans will have against the filmmakers, the producers like Kathleen Kennedy, the studio itself, like Disney, like just cheering their downfall whenever something bad happens, and then dismissing any of the wins or things that they could celebrate. It's just insane. Like, and you can't find a franchise where that is more apparent than Star Wars, and particularly with the sequel trilogy. It is insane. And I can't, and it's hard. We're going to talk about it here because there's like famous criticisms about some of these movies that I want to talk with you about and just see, like, did you feel that way initially? Do you feel that way now? And how has that been shaped from the discourse that has surrounded these films for the past 10 years now for The Force Awakens? It's just insane to like see how much people are able to hate. It is wild. And think of what Yoda said about hate leading to the dark side. And these people are just reveling in it. They're reveling in the dark side, man.
They don't give a fuck. It's crazy. So I'm going to do my best to be as positive as possible. I'm still going to levy the criticism I have. But I'm going to try and say mostly nice things about these movies because I do love this franchise and I want this to be a celebration of Star Wars, even though there are a lot of pitfalls at certain points.
I say go all in. Be you, man.
I can't. I want this to be a celebration because I love Star Wars.
Don't be afraid to be who you are. I want it to be truthful. I think obviously
I will still levy my criticism, but I will not be going all in.
An hour to discuss. Okay, we have nuance. We'll be able to talk about the highs and then also shine a light on some of the lows.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think we are going to be the toxic fandom here. I think we're going to be well balanced fans of Star Wars who will be able to celebrate what is great about it, and then also note some of the drawbacks or disappointments that we have. Because again, I mean, we're fans, so we obviously want it to be great, but we have our own impressions of what that might mean. And so if those things are misaligned, I think it's okay for us to just acknowledge that that
Mhm.
happened. It didn't quite meet us where we wanted to be met, and that's okay. So I think we can, we can do what we need to do here, and we won't fall into the toxic fandom circle because we're also not going to be making, misogynistic, racist, horrible remarks.
Well, you might not be.
Oh, okay. Then maybe let's not go all in. Oh God. But so starting with the Force Awakens,
Yeah.
your impressions back then. Can you recall what it felt
Um,
like walking into that theater as a 15-year-old lad excited to see his first Star Wars movie on the big screen?
I went with my family, and for sure, at that point, the best theatrical experience I had had. Like everybody was hype in the theater. It was a packed theater. We were all screaming when all the characters showed up. We were all really hype. That has been surpassed by now. I think Endgame and Infinity War definitely kind of took that. No Way Home definitely had like big hype moments.
Yeah.
But at the time, 15-year-old me, there were some really hype moments, and there's one in particular that we'll get to that I think was more hype than any other moment, which is a little bit shocking to me, but we'll get there. Uh, but I liked it coming out of the theater. I thought it was good. I didn't love it though. I will say, I thought it was a good movie. I had a very fun and enjoyable time, but it didn't. I didn't think it was like the greatest thing ever, and I couldn't put words to why I felt that way.
Hmm.
I can now, though. 10 years later, as an adult with a fully formed frontal lobe, I can put words to it now. But I did like it. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought it was very entertaining. I had a lot of fun. I can tell you exactly why I liked it, and I can tell you exactly why I don't. And it's the same reason.
Oh, compelling. So we'll dive into that. For me, I, as I said, went more than once there. I think it was also like the first time in a theatrical experience where people were cheering or wooing or
Hmm.
clapping. So
Yeah.
the first time I experienced that. Again, the hype was off the charts. I definitely went opening weekends. Um, and so, yeah, I just remember it being, it was like the holidays as well. It came out in December, and now it became like a hallmark for, I guess it was 4 years or so for Star Wars to come out around Christmas time. So it was just great vibes going in. I had heard of the reviews being good, so I was like, this could be it. Like especially in contrast with the prequels that were very much
Hmm.
maligned. I was like, I'm going to be able to experience an incredible Star Wars movie, and so I went into the theater, and that's what I got. That's what I felt that I got then. And I'll be honest, Dylan, I still love this movie.
All right. All right. Good.
We'll talk about the flaws here and there. They
Hmm.
definitely exist. Here's the other thing too. Every Star Wars movie quite flawed. A lot of them have some issues.
Not the first
Empire,
one.
the least of them. Even Star Wars has some.
No, not
The
the first one.
original, they do. But I will
No
say,
flaws.
perfect experiences. Not perfect movies, but perfect experiences. You can't get what you want out of a story better than when you go and see Star Wars or Empire, things like that. And I feel the same way about The Force Awakens. I think it is an absolute blast, start to finish. I think it's great. It brings me back into this world that I love. I'm with these characters that I love, some new characters that are introduced that I also love. It's a blast watching it. I had an incredible time. So let's dive in. Let me hear why you like and dislike. You're saying it's the same reason why you like and dislike this film?
It's the same reason. It is almost beat for beat, just a
Oh
ripped
yeah,
off
yeah,
copy of the
yeah.
first Star Wars. Again, massively entertaining. It is a solid story. It is one that I know and I love it. It's great. It is the exact same story.
Mm,
And the lack of originality, I find a little boring and frustrating.
mm.
I felt that way at 15 and I didn't realize why. And as an adult rewatching it now, I can look at it and I can say, yeah, I see where the story's going. I know what they're doing. and I find it a little like worn out. And that's why I like the prequels a lot, is because George Lucas tried to do something new, not always successfully, but it was always an attempt to be original. And I feel like this wasn't. This was an attempt to harken back intentionally to the original trilogy, but I think they leaned too heavily on hitting those same beats and same themes as that original film, and I think that can be kind of frustrating a little bit.
I see. Heard. I obviously know of that critique. That's been like the
Mhm.
main thing, and we'll talk about it here. Why I think it's so funny how
It's really the
the
only
reputation of this
criticism I have
movie
of
is.
this film. Everything else I think is great. I think it's shot phenomenally well. I think the characters are really good. I think the acting is really good. I think the action sequences and the special effects are really good, and the sets. I think everything else is great. I have no other criticisms of this movie really. Not.
Mhm.
I think it's funny. I think it has like great moments. I think the character relationships are really good, and then them bringing back the original characters I think works really well. It's really the only criticism I have, is that it's just not original. That's it.
Gotcha. Yeah, for me, I'm fine
You
with
don't
it.
care? Yeah, you
I
just
don't
don't
care.
care.
I don't really
And that's
care.
fine. That's
I
totally
think
fine.
if we
I think it's
got like
completely okay to not care.
if I wanted to do like I wanted to do a cinema showdown, I think I could prove like they're actually not that similar. I really don't think the story structure is that same. I don't think the
Mm,
beats play out the same.
I don't think that's
And
true.
my point to that I think will be the hero's journey, specifically the mentor character. Han Solo does die, but when he dies and the impact that it has on the remainder of the story, it happens much closer to the end of the film in Force Awakens than it does in the original Star Wars.
Yeah,
And again, it doesn't, I think, fit that exact mold of like, oh, the master passing away, and then now the protagonist is sort of left on his own to
you're right.
do what he needs to do.
But then I
So
think I
I
think I
think
think that leads to the biggest difference in this film to the original, is that Kylo Ren is a much different antagonist than Darth Vader ever was. And I think
true,
that was always intentional. And I think
and
that is why Kylo Ren is probably my favorite additional like new character to this franchise, to this saga, Skywalker Saga. I
yeah,
love Kylo Ren. I think he's a great addition. I think he's like is a great character. And I think Adam Driver is fantastic. And I'm glad it like launched his career.
yeah, he is absolutely dope. We'll talk about all those new characters
Mhm.
because I was a fan of all of them in this.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think the broad strokes, and we'll get to this a little later, the broad strokes, for sure, there's some repetitive elements.
Oh yeah.
First Order, Empire, Resistance, Rebellion. That stuff's absurd. Truly silly, indefensible. I'll let it slide.
Death
In
Star,
order to
Star
have
Killer
enjoyment,
Base,
the Death Star Sarko,
Jakku, Tatooine,
absurd, ridiculous, terrible. Yeah, starting on a sand planet,
Maz Kanata's bar, the cantina,
for sure.
finding
So
the lightsaber, finding the lightsaber.
all of that is absurd. Slightly different ways. It is funny they both come out of a chest.
Yeah.
Um,
Come on.
but the cantina, it's like okay, there's going to be bars in various places.
Yeah, they
Attack the
hit those
Clones,
notes in every movie. Yeah.
yeah. So that stuff happens. But for sure, when you zoom out, like the big picture, deciding to frame it as another rebellion versus empire story, uh, completely stupid. Like I have no idea why. Um,
Yeah.
so that rubs me the wrong way. But as far as like again the overall story structure of it, I don't think it's that similar to A New Hope. And even if it is, I'm like, hey, I love A New Hope. Hey, Top Gun Maverick, they did the same thing. God, hey, love that
Yeah.
movie.
You're right.
It's tried and true. It works.
Again, if
I'm
you
fine.
again, it's a problem I have with the movie about a lack of originality, but it's still good. Like it's still entertaining. This movie is still a lot of fun and enjoyable to watch in every way possible.
I agree with that. And I think the characters are so lovable in this. I mean, you
They
mentioned
are absolutely.
Kylo, who's just a great setup to a
Mhm.
character, performed wonderfully by Adam Driver. This is another element. All the previous Star Wars films had some issues with their actors.
Sure.
Okay, no shade, no hate. Everyone has grown and evolved in incredible ways when they've come and reprised their characters later down the line.
Yeah.
But they're not the greatest acting showcases.
Of course.
Not the case with this film.
Yeah, they're all pretty
Dynamite.
great from the get go.
Daisy Ridley is dynamite. John
She is.
Boyega is dynamite.
He
Oscar
is.
Isaac is dynamite. Of course,
Absolutely.
Adam Driver, as we talked about, is the shining star of all of them.
Yeah.
Like phenomenal. They're all incredible. They're all so charismatic.
Yep.
They have such a screen presence, and they have great chemistry with each other. Like
Mhm.
that's watching this again. I'm like Poe and Finn, their banter, it's phenomenal. Love them together. Finn and Ray, also great. Seeing them
Mhm.
together. Poe and Ray never actually talk in this film, which is hilarious. But Finn and Ray get a lot of time together, and they are able to just have a lot of great exchanges, their friendship, and then their hints of romance. That was sort of a seed that was planted that could have come to fruition if they wanted to. Obviously, they went a different way, but like I think all of that was very, very well done. Like it's just so entertaining, insanely watchable. I think they were all great. And then as far as the character setups themselves, Finn being an ex stormtrooper, someone that's
Dude,
like forced into being a stormtrooper and then
yeah,
decides I'm not going to be part of this.
great idea.
That's incredible. That's awesome. I love Ray as well. Her introduction on
Very
Jakku,
good.
it
As a
is
scavenger,
beautiful.
yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, like that
When
image
she
because it was
goes, she
like
scavenges items, and then she goes and she's eating the food at the foot of the AT-AT, and she puts on like the rebel helmet.
yeah, and she's
It's great.
watching the ship go by, and obviously she wants
Mhm.
to leave, or she's thinking
Yeah,
too of like her parents and everything. So
great.
all of that is exceptional. The the shot of the bread or whatever it is, she like
Oh, I
puts a little
love
powder
that.
into there.
Yeah,
I still that blew my mind back in 2015 when I first saw that. I
yeah.
was like, this
It
is
looks really,
like,
really good.
like magical. So seeing that was amazing. Yeah, her whole like the life that we get to see her live, like the day in the life of her scavenging was amazing. You immediately attach to her and immediately are like, I want to see her like whatever she wants, whatever she needs to be happy. I want to see her get that. Um, and then BB-8, her meeting up with BB-8, obviously an initial save the cat. This is a save the droid moment, so
Hmm.
already sympathetic there. BB-8 as well. Awesome.
Dude,
That is so
great,
cool.
great character. You thought they couldn't get better than R2D2, and it gets pretty damn close to as good as R2D2. BB-8's awesome.
Dude, being able to just roll around,
Yeah,
practical effects on that.
yeah.
Remember Neil deGrasse
Looks
Tyson? He
fantastic.
was like, that can't happen. And then they were like, no, this is like, here's an actual clip of like the BB-8 droid being able to roll around like that. Amazing. So
Yeah, he's
that
great.
all that stuff is set up beautifully. And then we have Snoke, who's going to be our big bad, our emperor type character in this one.
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis, giving a great voice performance as always. What'd you think of that? Those like 4 or 5 minutes when it's the hologram, but he's huge, and you just think, is this a giant? Like, do they not have giants in Star Wars?
You think that it's like a 1-to-1 for the hologram?
When you first see that, because you don't see that it's a hologram until when it
Oh, I guess
closes
that's
at the end
fair.
of it. So the very first scene, they're like looking up at this guy, and I'm like, this is insane. Like they got a freaking force giant, and
That
then
would be
the
sick.
hologram disappears. But I was like, that would have been so cool and so
It would
different
have been
and
an interesting choice.
unique.
Yeah.
So
Again, once again, Emperor Snoke. Like, first off, it's a 1-to-1 kind of like jump, but then he also
uh,
ends up being the same person at the end of the
he's
storyline.
the supreme leader, please. But yeah, that's
Emperor
also
Supreme Leader. Come on.
cool. But so again, all the cast of characters that they introduced,
Yeah.
I think were all great, which is really tough to do because obviously this is a legacy sequel. We need to have the old characters in here still
Mhm.
because we love them and want to see them, but they also need to pass the baton.
Yeah.
And
Do you like
so
General Hux?
in this
'Cause
film,
in
I
this film,
do,
I think he's great, and I love Donald Gleason.
dude.
His speech he gives,
His Nazi speech, his Nazi
yeah,
rally,
it's
he was
great.
all in on that. He went
Yeah,
hardcore, which is why in the later movies I'm like, what are they doing with him?
huge disappointment.
Because he was a fool. He was a zealot there, man. He was all bought into the message, and he's like, "We're about
And he
to
was
nuke
great.
6 planets. Let's go."
Mhm.
So all of that was wild. So
Yeah.
the new cast of characters, love them all. Love the actors performing them. They were all great. And then we got Han Solo
Big
coming
dog.
back, Harrison Ford,
Chewbacca.
and Chewie. So yeah,
Mm.
even watching the film just a couple of days ago, when he pops up on the Millennium Falcon,
It's magnetic.
he's like, Chewie, we're home. I'm just like, yes. It's
Yeah.
just so good. It's such a feel good moment. They're just so great.
Mhm.
His whole like little arc is one thing about the sequels that after this movie that I felt was coming and then felt a little bit sad about it. That was my one hesitance with like Disney doing these sequels was that we were just going to see the trio all die one by one. with Han Solo, it was like inevitable that he was going to die. I mean, everyone knows Harrison Ford,
Hates it.
not the biggest fan of him.
He was only gonna come back as Han Solo if they killed him off immediately.
Yeah. So we like knew that was
Fair.
sort of the package deal. If he was trying to get out,
Yeah.
in 1980, he's not coming back in
Yeah.
2015 and being like, I'm in it for the long haul.
Right.
So
Fair.
that was kind of obvious. Did you get spoiled before you watched it? Because I know that's a thing. Like that
I
was
think I
one of
did.
the big moments. But
I
again,
think I
I
saw a
had
clip of it.
what a clip.
I think I saw a clip of him getting killed
That's vile.
online.
That's evil.
Like someone
Uh,
filmed it in their pocket, like at the premiere or something, and they posted it, and it went everywhere. And I saw it, and I went, "Oh my god!" I was because this was before, like, oh, it was AI. Like you see clips online now, you're like, oh, they probably faked that shit. This was
yeah,
before that, and I was like, I just got fucking spoiled. So I think I knew it going in,
that's brutal.
if
But
I
this was
remember
that time
correctly.
too, where it's like he had to be really careful about spoilers
Yeah,
for this. So yeah, I had made peace. Like again, a year before, or whenever I was like, Han Solo's gonna die. Like that's just what's gonna happen. And then there was definitely, I remember at school that day, there were people that would just be saying it, and you could never know because like none of us had seen it yet,
yeah,
unless I guess it went to the Thursday midnight screening. But it's like unconfirmed reports of Han Solo's death in the film, and I'm like, ugh. But I had already made peace, like, and I was already expecting it, and so going in, I was like, let me just lap up every minute of screen time that we get with Han Solo, and he's great. He's a delight.
he's
Harrison Ford
all
did
over
not
this
phone it
movie.
in at all. Like he came back and
Mm-hmm.
his
Knocked that out of the park.
lovable smuggler self
Mm-hmm.
was in full force. So I was a big fan of that. What do you think of the I forget what the creatures are called, but that whole thing where they're on that ship and
Rothars,
is that what they were?
the
The
Rothars,
octopus.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I thought it was fun. I thought that was original and unique.
mhm.
Like leaning more into Han Solo's smuggler background and like having there be tensions between multiple gangs that he owes money to, and having that be kind of like an external tension on the scene. I think is really smart. I think it's cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Let me tell you, the most hype my theater got, which I thought was odd, was when the camera pans over and you see the Millennium Falcon. When they do like
Oh
the
yeah,
switch of
yeah.
date with she says that's a piece of junk and they're running to the other ship and it blows them. She goes, piece of junk it is, and they run to Millennium Falcon. And I think the reason is because rewatching it now, I think it's the first hint of or like the first thing you see that harkens back to the original trilogy. That's like an iconic image. Other than like
Mm.
Star Destroyer, AT-AT, like these things that are like kind of decrepit on the ground. This is like the first like really big callback is the Millennium Falcon showing up. And so
Yeah.
this is the first time that the theaters get so hype. Everybody gets hype when Han shows up and when Leia shows up, and then at the end when Luke shows up. Like we all get hype for all that stuff. But seeing the Millennium Falcon and like finally cluing into it's time to gear back into original trilogy time,
Hmm.
everybody got hype.
Oh yeah, and it's a great little moment too, the way that they set
It's
that
a good
up.
it's a good bait and switch, yeah.
And then I will say the escape from Jakku when it's
Great.
Finn and Ray and they're piloting around the Millennium Falcon. Like that's awesome. Like that's classic Star Wars stuff.
Dude, the gun getting jammed in the forward position and having to like stall out to fling the ass of the Millennium Falcon forward so that he could get a shot off.
Eloquently put.
Sick.
Beautiful. Yeah. So all of that, which is awesome, very much entertaining. Felt like a kid watching. I'm like, this is so dope, creative. The effects in this film, they put so much money into this
Yeah.
because it looks incredible. And I was wondering because I remember the sequel as being like astonishing, like great visual achievements. Even back then with the prequels, you saw the seams very clearly with a lot of the CGI element that
Oh yeah.
were included. Very much overloaded on the CGI.
Yeah. There were a couple moments
Difference 10
in
years makes.
the next two that feel a little lackluster, but in the Force Awakens specifically, I think start to finish the CGI is
That's
fantastic.
what I was looking for because again, my memory was like, oh, they're all great. And then Force Awakens, I was like, yup, it's true. Like this is like as far as effects goes, has to be one of the greatest looking movies. And
Yeah.
then in the future ones, because they didn't have as much time, it was only 2 years in between. I'm like, okay, you can
Mhm.
see some of the
Yeah.
where the CGI is straining, but Force
But in the
Awakens,
Force Awakens, dude, it
it
looks
looks incredible.
incredible.
There's not like one
The shots
bad
of
moment of
just
CGI.
the static shots of Rey like climbing around inside the destroyed Star Destroyer. It looks like
Love
they
it.
took like a what are they called? uh, like what are the drawings called?
The concept art.
A concept. It looks like they took a concept art and just like fully realized it entirely. Like they fully leaned into that look, and it looks incredible.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I love the a lot of the humor in this film as well. I
Mhm.
thought was pretty great.
Yeah,
With the prequels, with Jar Jar and everything. There's like a bad
dude,
rap of the
I
the
love Jar Jar
the
Binks.
humor. But this one,
Ah!
I think the humor was great. Like, there's a lot of moments where I laughed out loud. I've always loved and still love the banter between Finn and BB-8 when he's like desperately trying to be like, because he doesn't know where the rebel base actually is, and
He's
he's
like,
like,
please, you gotta tell me.
you gotta let her know, tell her, and then he gets him to do it, and then he gives a thumbs up, and then BB-8 puts the lighter out in the thumbs up position. I'm like, oh,
It's
like that's
sick.
great. The Kylo Ren crash outs are
Yeah, and
always
the stormtroopers are like
amazing.
walking up, and then they kind of stop, and they just slow walk backwards away
Yeah,
from it.
very wise for them to do. But
Adam Driver has some great crash outs in this franchise.
the scene of the dude that he lost a bet or something. He has to go and report to Kylo Ren that they lost the
Hmm.
droid, and so he's just giving them all this bad news. And then Kylo, after destroying everything already, he's like, "Anything else?" And then the guy goes, "There was also a girl," and then immediately gets force
Force
choked in
chokes him
pride.
with "What girl?" As if
I just
that's
think it's
if that is anything close to being the most important information to
that's what I
anybody
think
but us, the
so funny.
audience.
Because he just like, of all things, he's like, and we lost to a girl. Like, that's what really sends him over the edge. I thought it was hilarious. So all of that's great. A lot of the Finn and Han banter I thought was great. When he tells them, he's like, women always find out.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh god. Then he tells them, he's like, oh, you're a big deal, huh? Well, listen, big deal. Like, he just uses that as his nickname. And then when they're on the Starkiller base, the whole thing of that's not how the Force works. And then Chewie growls. And he's like, "Oh, you're cold." The big fur balls
hmm
cold. So that's all great. Like, I
yeah.
think a lot of the humor and banter worked really well. Again, I don't remember any false note in
No,
both
yeah,
movies. So
I agree.
I was a fan of all that. What do you think of Maz Kanata?
Good character. I love when she walks in and she says, "Where's my boyfriend?" And she says, "Chewie's working on the show." She goes, "I love that Wookiee." I love that. I love the idea of Maz Kanata just being in love with Chewbacca.
Yeah,
I think
it
she's a
was
good
great.
character. I think she gets underused in the later films, but I
For
think she has a
sure.
good place in this one.
Yeah, I think she has a really good place in this one. The whole her spectacles or whatever is going on there, I think it's a cool like
Yeah.
visual design, and how that's utilized.
Also, Lupita
So I like
Nyong'o.
that.
I love Lupita
Exactly, it's
Nyong'o.
Lupita Nyong'o, so that's why it's even more unfortunate that she was so underutilized in the future films.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, all right. What about some of the other elements here when we get the hallucinations when Ray is beckoned down to the basement of the cantina and then
Uh,
uses upon the lightsaber?
I think it's interesting. I'm not again at this point in the franchise as I'm watching it. Obviously, it's becoming clear that Ray is the main character, and they're setting up to her up to be somebody, right? Like the idea is that she is someone important to the Skywalker Saga story, and they are keeping that identity very much a secret in this film to build up to some kind of grand reveal later, as Star Wars typically does. So her connection to this lightsaber that she has no discernible lineage to just comes off a little odd to me, I guess. It just positions her as being more of an important character than she ends up being, at least in the second one. And then the third one kind of has a lot of weird blowback as a result of that choice in the second one.
Yep.
But we'll get there. In terms of The Force Awakens as its own closed off story, I think it's fine, I guess. That lightsaber obviously has like a massive amount of importance in terms of the whole Skywalker saga. It is the Skywalker lightsaber. It's Anakin's lightsaber. It was Luke Skywalker's lightsaber for a long time until his hand got cut off. Uh, I don't know
Mm.
how it ended up in Maz Kanata's possession.
It's a
That's the thing.
story for another time
That's the thing. Yeah, that's
that
the
we
thing.
never
That's probably the
actually
most
opened.
frustrating element about this lightsaber showing up is that this is a lightsaber that was lost on Bespin when his hand gets cut off and is seemingly gone forever. It's the OG lightsaber. It's the one from the very first movie, and it gets cut off in Empire Strikes Back, and he loses it, and it's supposedly gone forever. Literally drops down onto the clouds of Bespin, which
Mm.
who knows if there's even a surface. I was under the impression that there wasn't. So I thought it was just gone forever. So the idea that it is now resurfaced in a bar that they just happen to be at seems a little bold. It's like a little too bold of a Deus Ex Machina of
Well,
like,
it's Maz's, so it's like she has possession of it, and they go to visit Maz. So that part makes it. But how does she get it? And
but the
who
coincidence of it
retrieved it
all
first and knew
seems
that it was
bizarre.
Anakin's?
The coincidence of like all these things happening in quick succession of each other. That the Millennium Falcon happens to be on Jakku. They happen to run into Han Solo. They happen to go to Maz Kanata's because they run into Han Solo, and then she happens to have Anakin's lightsaber in her possession. It's the coincidence of like this galaxy is seeming smaller and smaller the more the story goes on.
Yeah,
You know, seems a little from a writing standpoint seems a little bit incredible. As opposed to you look at the original Star Wars movie and it's Ben Kenobi whose job is to watch over Luke, which is why he has Anakin's lightsaber. Like I feel like everything is a little bit more tightly written in that one, as opposed to this
Mhm.
one where it's just like a coincidence that Rey just happens to be bouncing into all these people. It makes it seem like it's set up that she's supposed to be somebody important in their relation, and even though they do make that reveal in the Rise of Skywalker, in the grand scheme of things, to all these people that are involved in this story specifically, she's nobody still. So it's
Indeed.
just odd that she happens to run into all these things and also happens to be who she ends up being. You know,
Yeah,
the
but
coincidences keep adding up to
it's the
being
Force,
plot
man.
armor.
Luke ends up with Kenobi to save his sister Leia, both of whom were the children of Darth Vader, neither of whom know it at that point in time. It's all.
But they explain that. They explain that in a way in the prequels that makes sense. That they're separated, and that Ben Kenobi, who's Obi-Wan, is there to watch over Luke, which is why they come together. Which is why the message ends up in Ben Kenobi's possession. That's how Luke gets involved. Makes sense. It makes sense to
Yeah,
me more than this. There's less of a coincidence.
I mean, I don't dispute that. Yeah, obviously this is all just convenience for the sake of convenience, but also you can explain it as, hey,
It's convenience that could
Force
have been
works in
explained later
mysterious
that they
ways.
chose not to explain.
Well, which part would have been explained? Because I mean, the part here of like,
Ray's
how did the
place.
lightsaber end up here?
I would want Ray's place in the story explained in a better fashion than her being the granddaughter of Palpatine.
Well, we'll get to that because
We'll get to that.
there's no real defense for that. But
Yeah.
I think, as far as just again like setting up questions that
In terms
I
of
hope
like The
are
Force
answered
Awakens as
later, I
a
think it's like,
standalone entity, I think it's fine.
yeah, I think it works great. I love the like what we see, the images of her past, the
Sure.
blips of the Knights of Ren and whatnot. All of that I think is really well done, and it gives a bit more of a mystique
Mhm.
to the Force, to her place in it, like in the whole idea of it awakening and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think that serves its part really well in this film. So
Yeah.
I was a fan. I enjoyed it.
I also like that Rey is like unwilling to touch the lightsaber at first. So most of the lightsaber use in this film is through Finn. And every time that John Boyega picks up that lightsaber, in my head, I'm thinking, badass. This is
Oh yeah,
awesome. Every time he picks it up and he goes to swing it, it's so sick.
yeah. That
Which is
whole
why it's
battle.
so disappointing what happens to his character later on. But in terms of this movie specifically, John Boyega's role is awesome.
Yeah, he's incredible. The
Yes.
the battle between him and the stormtrooper
Dude, it's so
has
cool.
something attached to his forearm. I don't even know what that is, but
Something that's able to block a lightsaber blow
yeah,
somehow
that
in
was
this
super
film.
cool, and I
Super
love that
awesome.
too of like making a little bit of a mini boss out of just some random stormtrooper
Yeah.
that has some beef with
Yeah, he says
John
traitor.
Boyega. Yeah, so I really like that part. The whole running gag of Han being very much a fan of Chewie's crossbow, like that was very fun as well.
Yeah, that's a very good bit. I like this. It's a very good bit.
It's like, can
I
I
will
see
say
that?
though, I mean, this is a movie that's already kind of packed with a lot of plot and a lot of story. Something I would have liked to have seen maybe touched on a little bit later on, which again comes down to John Boyega's character getting kind of cut down a little bit, is just the interesting ethical dilemma of. I guess they do touch on it like slightly in Rise of Skywalker, but not much. The interesting ethical dilemma of he's a stormtrooper who has abandoned the First Order because refuses to hurt civilian lives, but then the consideration that there are other stormtroopers who maybe feel this way that he's now cutting down, like in the act of working for the Resistance. There's like a little bit of touching on it with the other people on the planet that he meets with the Death Star pieces, whatever, that are
Yeah.
also deserters of the First Order. I think that is an interesting plot point that I wish they would touch on more earlier, because I think it's cool the idea that they have a stormtrooper now abandoning the First Order. I think that's a great, 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 great idea. Really good setup, and I wish they followed through more on his like ethical dilemma as now still fighting a war just on the other side. Like, what is the ethics of that?
Yeah. I think again be a little overstuffed for this, and I think you could
It
also
would
just
be,
back
yes.
off
I
of
think in
like
the Last Jedi would have been perfect for it.
he never hunts down stormtroopers. It's
Yeah,
always
you're
in
right.
self defense when the stormtroopers are attacking him.
He's not what's his name from Inglorious Bastards, who's the Nazi, the ex-Nazi killer.
Yeah, he's not trying to bring home stormtrooper
Yeah.
scalps.
Auf Wiedersehen to your stormtrooper bowls.
So all that stuff is cool. And then we have Poe coming in, the shot of the X wings
Yeah.
coming down the lake. Very nice.
Mm,
Love all
super
of that.
cool.
And then we finally get Leia. So we get Han and Leia's reunion.
Love it. Chewie and Leia's reunion. Love it.
Yeah, it's just delightful.
It is very delightful to watch.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Star Killer Base.
I couldn't care about it any less.
Wow.
I can't believe they just rehashed the Death Star. It's such a lame, like, we had the potential to like create a new desire for this empire to have, a new way of demanding control, because the whole idea was the Death Star was the ultimate weapon to demand control of the galaxy so that Palpatine can control it all.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it twice in the original trilogy. They didn't just do the one Death Star, they brought it back. He said, I'm going to try it again. And then finding out that Snoke is actually just Palpatine as a clone means that he's just trying it for a third time.
Yeah.
He will not quit. And what's worse is they beat him again in this movie. And then in Rise of Skywalker, he arms Star Destroyers with the same weapon. He said, I will not give up. He just won't quit, dude. There has to be, because Palpatine, one of the greatest villains of all time. Like, especially in the prequel trilogy, like a gangster politician, a gangster Sith, always playing both sides, coolest motherfucker in the world. Dumb as fuck in the rest of the series. Like, what do you mean? You've taken over the Senate. You've taken over control of everything. You are the emperor now. You're no longer the chancellor. You're the full-on emperor. You schemed your way to this power, and you're just going to try 4 times to create planet-killing weapons and fail each time? When will you learn your lesson and try something different? Because you used to be the GOAT.
I think it is really funny that he just keeps trying to do it over and over again.
He
had that idea years and years ago, and he's like, I will see this through. He just, look, all a man wants is to sit on the throne
the idea
and travel
of a planet,
on a planet destroyer.
I think the idea of a planet whose core has been hollowed out and now siphons energy from the sun to create like a giant beam that can destroy multiple planets at once is cool. And that should have been...
It's stupid.
Okay. I think it's an interesting idea, and I think it should have been the second time he tries it. That should have been the idea in Return of the Jedi. There's no reason why they would just rebuild the same goddamn Death Star again and think that it would work. I think the idea of like trying it a different way would have been cool for the second time. The third time you get there, you got to just phone it in and try something different, man. We are not building another planet killer, all right? What is like the obsession with the planet killer? It was just such
total control.
It was just such a cool idea in the first Star Wars, and they just keep bringing it back again and again and again. And I think it's obnoxious. I think it's dumb in this movie. I think it's misplaced. I think it would have been way cooler if, again, this is just harkening back to being completely unoriginal from the first film. I think it would have been way cooler if there was a whole other goal to Kylo Ren's First Order other than just blowing up planets.
Right. Well,
if they had some kind of like shadowy political like desires, a la the prequel trilogy, just done a little bit better with better effects, this could have been cool. But there has to be like plot wise an objective to beat to save the day. And for them, the easiest thing to do is like they have to step up the stakes from 2 Death Stars to bigger Death Star. I don't know. I just think lame.
I don't disagree. Again, I think that part of it is very silly. I mean, understand again, they're trying to have a tool that they can use to bring the Republic to its knees, and
Yeah.
so having some sort of weapon that would able to threaten and then follow through on destroying a great number of planets that are important to the Republic. I mean, that makes sense. However, so my issue comes in with the idea of what you described the Starkiller base to be, of like a hollowed out planet that is able to suck the energy of
Not a
the
fan.
sun. It's just stupid because then it's like,
You use
why
it
didn't we
once.
try that for the first Death Star? Like, why
Yeah.
did we spend all this time creating a metal structure that can float around and like jump at
It
light
can
speed,
go into
all this
light
stuff,
speed. Yeah.
all of
I feel
that.
like
It's
that Death
unclear
Star
if
is
the Star Killer is going to
scarier
do that.
because are you saying that Starkiller Base has the ability to reach every planet in the galaxy, or like do you have to wait for it to naturally revolve to
Because
face
how
the
does it
direction it
keep
needs to?
finding new suns?
Yeah,
So
when it
it has
runs
to
out of
move. That
one
makes no sense.
sun, does it just get one shot and you're done, and you have to build another Starkiller base on a different planet?
Yeah, because we see it fire. Well,
Is it a
it fires
movable
once and
planet,
then it charges again. And so is the idea that there were two suns that it's right next to, or did it move to a different
or did the
star?
sun
To suck it out?
recharge? I don't
That's
know.
tough.
I don't know. I
Uh,
just, yeah, I guess
I
you're right.
think
It is kind of stupid.
that part is like the lore breaking part of it because I'm like, in 30 years, you somehow developed the technology to be able to do this, which is insane. Again, it's all science fantasy stuff, whatever. But within the 30 years, from the two attempts at a Death Star, which took a long time. I mean, again, that man, we saw Count Dooku looking at those plans. This was a long time in the making, those Death Stars. We see Andor, all the labor that was put into creating those. Um, like those were long, long plans in order to get the Death Stars created. The Starkiller base had to be like 5 times that. You're terraforming a planet to be able to be a weapon. Like, how is that even possible? And it has to still be stable as a planet to
Yeah.
host all the people, have an atmosphere, yet somehow have a massive hole that will expend all this energy, star energy, right? Like that
Mhm.
is insane. And again, it's science fantasy stuff. It's a little stupid to think all that much into it because, of course, it wouldn't work. But in context of what we know in the universe already, it's
Mhm.
just insane that they'd be able to make this technological leap when they
Yeah.
are not in power. Again, the Empire wasn't even able to do this when they had 20 years of power. The First Order, 30 years out of power, when the Republic is in charge, they are able to do this. That's crazy.
Yeah. And
Like,
also just I think there's not enough content that takes place between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy because it's just the Mandalorian right now, right? And
yeah,
then is that when Skeleton Crew takes place as well?
Skeleton Crew, I think, well, because the Jedi or whole thing, I think that's during the Empire.
Okay. Regardless, it's just I I feel the same way about the First Order that I feel about Palpatine coming back. The somehow Palpatine has returned. Well, somehow the Empire has returned. Like it's the exact same thing, and they have the same budget, and they're literally just stormtroopers. Like I want to see because you see in the Mandalorian that the Empire still kind of exists a little bit in the background still because it's just
Mhm.
immediately after the original trilogy ends, and there's like lurkings of the Empire just in the background. I would like to see how they became the First Order and like how did that organization continue for 30 years on like in like the outer rims on the outskirts and how
Yeah,
did they
well, Ahsoka is also
okay
post
you're right
Empire
you're right I
pre,
haven't
and
seen
so
that
that's going to be where we'll see because Mandalorian and then Ahsoka, we'll see how they try and tie all that together and make a
Mhm.
little mini cinematic universe based out of that. But
Yeah
that should tell us how, and they've touched on it a little bit already in
yeah
Ahsoka, where Admiral Thrawn is the remnants of the Empire, and he's like doing all this stuff to gain power, and then the
Mhm.
Republic is sort of stalling and dragging their feet and not really acknowledging the threat that is emerging from the remnants of the Empire. So there's
Mhm.
definitely a way, and I'm sure there's going to be content somewhere in there that's going to explain away all
because
the
I'm
how
very
they came back
interested
to
in the politicking of it all. Obviously, you are too. Like we both have a massive love for Andor, which is about the politicking of leading into the original trilogy.
that. Hmm.
And I think that is the thing you and I can appreciate about the prequel trilogy is the attempt at the politicking of how the Empire rose to power and the politicking that is taking place in the Clone Wars TV show that kind of leads into that as well in kind of like partnership with uh the prequel trilogy. And I feel like there is not enough content explaining the politicking between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy of how we get from a republic that does exist to where we are now, to where the First Order has so much control. And I'm just not fully aware watching this movie how much authority the First Order has. Because my impression is that the First Order is as powerful as the Empire was in the original trilogy, which I don't think is actually true. I think it is like a genuine battle between an existing republic and a First Order that is coming to power.
Right.
I think there's like a battle there, and I think that was, to your point, was the entire purpose of Starkiller Base, was to snuff out any remains of the Republic, so that the First Order now has control. Whereas when I look at the original trilogy, the Empire is in full control. They have control of the Senate, they have control of all the politics, and they are the dominant governing force in the galaxy. And that's why the
Mhm.
rebels are so like in backed into a corner, is because they're all that's left. But at the same time, in this trilogy, I feel like they're on the strings significantly more. Like, where is the Republic? There's a resistance, but where's the Republic government? Where's the Republic army
Which is
occurring all?
also a silly thing that they're going to have to, at some point, again, maybe in Ahsoka, something else, they're going to have to explain, and poor Mon Mothma might
Mhm.
be taking a fall for that one. But the Republic doesn't have a standing army,
Yeah,
which, if the remnants of the Empire exist, like, would that really happen? I don't know. So they'll need to do something
it's
to.
possible. Like it's definitely happened before. There's been remnants of like Southern fighters of the Civil War still existing for a decade or so after the Civil War ended. Remnants of like the
Right.
Japanese army
The
still
United
fighting.
States had an army, right? We still
Yeah,
had
yeah,
an army. And
exactly.
so
That's what I'm
the,
saying. Is
the
how
whole
can there be
idea of.
remnants of the Empire but no remnants of a Republic
Exactly.
army?
So the fact that Leia would have to, and I looked up, I don't know how
Mhm.
true this is, some of the lore stuff like many, many months ago, because I had these questions. And it's Leia creates a resistance because she gets outed as Darth Vader's daughter, which apparently people care about and are upset about. Did we forget Luke Skywalker? Is also Anakin Skywalker, but whatever. So he's here of the Republic, but she disgraced in the Senate and then has to like bounce. And then she's also like, we need to fight against the Empire, and everyone's like, you're crazy. And then she's like, all right, I'll do it myself, and then creates the Resistance. So the Republic doesn't have an army. The Resistance is an unsanctioned sort of like militia that is
Mhm.
trying to defend the interests of the Republic
Yeah.
without the Republic's express or direct support against the First Order, who again at some point, like, if they're able to have so much control at the beginning of the Force Awakens already, where again they have a functioning, Starkiller base again, the materials needed to do that, I feel like would have tipped off somebody in the Republic, but whatever. So then it's the
That's
Resistance
interesting
fighting.
politicking. The efforts of like the First Order to create political opposition that is ousting Leia
That would be compelling,
from
but
the government.
that is not what's happening. I don't think the First Order is like a party in the Senate or
See,
anything like that. Like they're just
that's
full on like.
that would be so interesting if they were.
I think the official story, which we'll have to see, but it's like Thrawn and the First Order are out in the Outer Rim or in like the
Yeah.
unknown regions, and then they just show up like 1 year, 2 years before the events of the Force Awakens. So they're like out for good, and then
See, that's
maybe
what I think is dumb.
popping in and out.
Is
Yeah,
they feel like there's like the feeling that I'm getting is that they're supposed to be as powerful as the Empire was. They have a full planet under. They've built an entire planet to be into a weapon.
yeah.
They feel like just as powerful, and we see in Andor the amount of effort and years of politicking and planning put behind just the idea of the Death Star, the
Hmm.
idea of this weapon, all of the effort, all of the resources, all of the like civilizations and communities that were upended in order to fund those resources. Like an entire planet like rioted and destroyed just for gold and silk to add to like the chips that go into the Death Star.
Hmm.
And you're telling me you turned an entire planet into a gun and it only took a couple of years?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what I'm
know.
saying. That's why there's a big gap in those 30 years.
Yeah.
Fact check: Skeleton Crew does take place in the New Republic era.
Okay.
So some years after Return of the Jedi, but it doesn't really matter. It has no connection with anything, which is why I think it's
Okay.
great.
All right.
But yeah, so there's just a lot of empty material. But right now, because they, from the Mandalorian and everything, they want to capture the like immediately post original trilogy stuff. Let that play out, and then they'll need to decide, how do we create a little prequel in between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. So we'll see. We'll see if they're who is going to be tasked with connecting those dots, because it's going to be no small feat to do that. But as far as the Force Awakens and what its actual focus was, because again, I think they just wanted to. They were like, let's capture the magic of the original trilogy. What they have? A Death Star. What can we have? That's not a Death Star. A planet killer. Oh, I like that. A planet that is a killer. So they just did that and didn't put much thought into it.
Yeah.
As far as Han's farewell,
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's shift
what
into
did you
that.
think?
I thought it was done well. I thought it was a good way to say goodbye to the character. I think it's cool that Kylo Ren has to make that choice. Do you think that Kylo Ren kills him, or do you think that Han Solo kills himself?
I think Kylo Ren kills him. Is
Okay,
there a
they both got their
theory?
hands on a lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
And the idea that people are floating by, that I don't necessarily disagree with, is that Kylo Ren says, "I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it."
Banger
Very
line,
famous
by the
line.
way. I
Very
love
famous line. Yeah, great line. Uh,
I say that a couple times or just stupid stuff, and I'm like, I know what I have to do, but I don't
I
know
don't know if I have the
the
strength to do it. He is
He's doing
great.
laundry.
He's some great moments. Yeah. Um, the idea is that if Han Solo, if he kills Han Solo, that might be the last thing needed for Kylo Ren to fully embrace the dark side. So if Han
Mm.
Solo kills himself before he can, then maybe he's sparing his son from falling into the dark side completely and leaving a little bit of light in him. So maybe Han Solo kills himself. He points the lightsaber at himself, he ignites it, and he lets himself die. Because in his reunion in Rise of Skywalker, when it's just his ghost or his memory projection or whatever it is,
Hmm.
he's like not upset at Kylo Ren. He's forgiving of him. He's saying that you are Ben Solo. You know, like you still have the light in you because you didn't do this horrible thing. I did it to myself. Like
Which
this
I
wasn't
think
you.
the real Han Solo also would have been of that mindset because he's going to Kylo fully aware of like this could be like he's laying it on the line here. He could die for sure. And obviously,
Mm-hmm.
when he gets stabbed, he's shocked and disappointed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he would still like, he understands the conflict that was in him. And Kylo was like being truthful when he was like, I like he's conflicted. He feels the light and the dark and he doesn't know what to do. And in that moment, which is beautifully like staged and with the lighting and everything, when the sun finally gets sucked away completely by the Starkiller base, and then all the light disappears, and then it's just the red light from his lightsaber is shining on his face. Like he went to the dark, and that's the path that he chose. But
Mm-hmm.
in the following films, we do see how still conflicted he is with that choice, how guilty he is with it. And then well, when we get to Rise of Skywalker, I think it is a beautiful way to put a bow on it and show that he is like terribly guilty about all of that. But no, I mean, why would Han Solo? Because he's not connected to the Force like that. I don't know that he would be like, if Kylo kills me, then Snoke will have won, and then there's no way to turn it back. Blah blah blah. So let me kill myself preemptively. I feel like he would have just, if that was his thought process, then I don't think he would have went out to die. Because like, why does he getting himself killed off
Yeah.
prevent Kylo from going down the dark side more? I feel like Han would have just been like, let me live to fight another day, if that was his thought process.
Yeah. But still, killing Han Solo, as we see later in the franchise, this does not like. This makes Kylo Ren even more conflicted than he was before.
Yeah.
It makes him even more upset and in turmoil, which we'll
Mhm.
get to. But just a thought.
A lot of angst
Yep.
in that Kylo guy.
Rip. Rest in
Very well
peace.
realized. But yeah, Rip to Han. Yeah, I knew it was coming. Still tragic to see it go down. Chewie's, you know, growl of sadness afterwards. And then taking a shot right at Kylo immediately. He's a real one for that.
Yeah,
But
dude.
I don't care if you are Han's son. You're going to die for that.
Essentially, like his godson, like
Yeah.
very, very close family friend. Fuck you, I'm taking a shot.
But yeah, no forgiveness, no nothing. He's like, that's it.
Chewie's a real one, bro.
Absolutely.
Not enough Chewie content in these sequels.
There's actually a lot of Chewie content. I was amazed, which I'm happy about. I'm like, I'm glad he made it through. But yeah, Chewie was representing.
Hmm.
So Kylo versus Rey and Finn. Can we get
Yeah,
another showdown?
great
Beautiful.
look.
Again, we just got the lightsabers in the
Oh
sequel
yeah,
trilogy. Immaculate.
they look
Beautiful.
fantastic. In
The
the
like
snow is a
tactical
great touch.
lighting is amazing. Kylo's lightsaber in particular, with it having the like jagged edges and everything, it being unstable.
Hmm.
Beautiful, love it, incredible. And then yeah, fighting in the snow, very unique. We haven't seen that before.
I love in the fight the use of the crossguard on Kylo Ren's lightsaber when he digs the crossguard into Finn when they're like
Mhm.
up against the tree. sick. Great use of
Very
the
cool.
weapon.
The steam that will come off the snow whenever the lightsaber hits it,
Mm-hmm.
also incredible.
Some great
Particularly when
stuff
like
in this.
Rey and Kylo were fighting, and then we just see and the sound of it too. Oh, it's just so good. Um, so yeah, I love all of that. And then we got another big moment where surely the audience popped in your theater when Rey force grabs a lightsaber. You think it's Kylo
Sick.
that's bringing it to him, but no, it flies right past him and into Rey's hands. That's awesome.
It's pretty good.
It's incredible.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. So we have
Pretty
all
good.
that. And then the finale, Rey heads to Luke.
Yep.
He's been gone this whole time. We've been looking for him. And now she's able to get to Octo. Octo.
Sure.
I don't know how you pronounce it.
Octo.
You don't really say it. But another great location.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
And it's
The
like forever
island.
associated with Force Awakens now because it comes up in other films like How to Train Your Dragon. I think shot some stuff there, and you can immediately tell you're just like, oh, we're back. We're gonna find Luke any moment.
Yeah.
So another beautiful location they found, and she holds out the lightsaber. Luke looks at it, very conflicted, and then that's it.
That's it. That's the
Epic
movie.
credits theme. So as a recap for some of the stuff, are there some, because we're going to get to some criticism, some other ones that we haven't touched on yet that I want to bring up. But as far as the hype corner, we want to celebrate and praise the film. Are there any other moments that you want to shout out about?
No, not particularly. We hit all the really big ones. Some really cool moments.
I want to shout
For
out
sure.
Ray's theme. That piece of music is lovely.
Mhm.
And then as far as, because there's iconic lines from the franchise, right?
Mhm.
From the original trilogy, some from the prequels that have come through. We talked a little bit about like Kylo's
Dude.
I know what I have to do. I don't have the strength to do it.
Yeah.
Are there any
Awesome.
other like lines that stick out to you in this one that are just, or the way that they're said that stick out?
Not
There's a
super
few silly ones
particular. Unfortunately, the ones that stand out from this trilogy are the ones that I think are really
that are
cringe,
bad.
especially
Yeah.
that last movie.
Oh yes, but
There's a couple of meme lines, like Kylo Ren saying "more" in the last one, or in the Last Jedi.
that's in there
More,
for sure.
more.
That was
Great.
pretty great. But this one, I love when Han, and it was in like the trailer way back when, which by the way, fantastic trailer for this
Mhm.
movie. But
All three of them had good trailers.
they sure did. But this one again was like something else. The hype was off the charts. But when Han says like it's true, all of it, and then we're doing that slight little push in, and
Mhm.
the map to Luke is like there in the foreground, we're pushing on him.
The Jedi, the
It
Force.
gives me chills
all of it.
every time. Especially because again, you go back to the original Star Wars, he was the one that was like, this mumbo jumbo doesn't exist.
Mhm.
And then now here he is, like telling Rey, who's about to be this powerful Force user, that it is all true. So I love that. I also love the I don't know who it is. I guess the slave owner for Rey, the one that hands out the portions.
Mhm.
Whenever he does the 1/4 portion, I
It's
just love
Simon
that.
Pegg, you know that?
It's Simon Pegg.
It's
That's
Simon
awesome.
Pegg, yeah.
There's somebody I knew that info. But
60 portions.
so I love that.
Yeah.
Just want to give a little shout out. As far as the criticism, so we talked about Star
Give
Trek
me
base,
that
we talked
droid.
about a New Hope retread, talked about all that jazz.
Mhm.
The other main criticism of this is against Rey, and it's her as a Mary Sue, or a character that has like no weaknesses, no flaws, and can do anything and everything. And that was part of especially like when the trailer dropped, the beginnings of the fandom menace was already starting because one, we had a black stormtrooper.
Mhm.
People got riled up about that. And then we had a female protagonist.
Yeah.
People got riled up about that.
I remember this. I remember
So-
hearing other students at school make racist jokes about John Boyega in
Oh.
freshman year culinary. I remember that. And I remember being like, what the fuck, dude? This is cool.
That's
Like,
crazy.
We're getting like a stormtrooper's perspective. Who cares that he's black? Like, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. That's terrible.
And he's great. He's great in this role.
He's fantastic. He's so
Yeah.
awesome.
I remember that from 10 years ago. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Well, so then with Rey being our protagonist, our new lead, and a whole bunch of people are like, oh god, they're forcing down a female protagonist down our throats. And then the criticism that gets levied is, oh, they didn't want to give her any flaws, so they made her perfect. They made her this Mary Sue. Dylan,
Yeah.
you're willing to go on the record as far as your judgment on whether or not Rey is a Mary Sue in this film?
I don't think so. I think she has plenty of like faults. I think her attachment to Jakku and her parents is like a connection that she has to let go of and shed to be able to
Hmm.
join the resistance fully. I think there's plenty of like internal struggle going on with her as a character. I think she has like a lot of plot armor. Sure. I think all of these I think every main character in the Star Wars franchise has fucking
I mean,
plot
it's the
armor.
whole joke about
Yeah.
stormtroopers having terrible aim is because
Because all the main
it's not
characters
that
have
they have
fucking
bad
plot
aim;
armor.
it's that the characters have too much plot armor. Okay,
Yeah.
so respect the
So
stormtroopers.
if the problem is you think that she never dies and she should, well, you could say that about every fucking Han Solo should have died a million times in the original trilogy.
Yeah,
Like he's just like a normal guy with a gun and he gets away with fucking murder in those movies.
it sure does. Yeah,
Like
I will say.
I don't think she's a Mary Sue at all. I think she has plenty of internal strife.
Yeah, I will say I see it. I think it's there.
Really?
I think yeah, because when you particularly it's when it comes to like her abilities with the Force, and she's able
Sure.
to one resist Kylo Ren's doing his like Force interrogation,
Do I think
and
she has too many force abilities too quick? Absolutely.
yeah,
100%.
that's the case because
That is
she has
very
that.
true.
She somehow is able to without ever knowing or seeing anyone do it is able to do the whole like these are not the droids you're looking for, right? Do the Force manipulation. And
Yes.
then in her final battle with Kylo, it's her like on the edge, right? About to get pushed over. And then he says
Mhm.
something about the Force. And then she goes, oh, the Force. And then like connects with it and then is able to overpower. And I'm like, that's great. But it's like Luke in the original trilogy, for instance, was coached by Ben
Mhm.
in that moment to be like, trust
Yeah.
the Force, which is a callback to earlier when he was like, put
Yeah.
the thing over your head, don't
He
see,
almost
feel it.
doesn't use the force at all in that first movie.
Exactly.
Almost none at all. It was literally just at the end to guide the missile in. And then
Yeah.
in the second movie, he doesn't use it at all except to grab the lightsaber to beat the Wampa until he goes to train with Yoda. He
Hmm.
trains with Yoda for a long, long time and is still not that great at the force at the end of the movie. Like he still very hardly relies on it in his fight with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It isn't until the third movie when he's had like months to train that he can actually use the force, which I
Exactly.
think I would agree is jumping the gun here a little too much in terms of Rey's force abilities. 100%.
Yes.
I would agree.
That particular element is what, like, I agree with. Again, I think she's a great character. I think
I think
Daisy
in terms
Ridley's
of the rest of her
incredible.
character, I don't think she's a Mary Sue. I think she
She's
has
so
plenty of
likable.
internal strife. I think she has plenty of like actual real world knowledge to be able to fight and continue and like exist in this world and like survive. Like we see her using her staff plenty and have fighting skills. So I like believe that she can hold her own with a lightsaber relatively well.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's still a
also,
little like
well,
Kylo would probably, you would hope would outmatch
yes,
if he was
but
pointing
Kylo's
either
also
Luke.
wounded because Chewbacca shot him in the gut, and
That is true.
you see him reeling from that, like smacking, like great performance from Adam Driver, like smacking the
Yeah,
wound
the
because it hurts
smacking is
so bad.
iconic. Him like
Yeah,
beating his chest there. Yeah. So that definitely makes sense that he's not at 100% for sure. And also
he's like
his
he's
kid
already
is banging.
fought Finn,
So
who like got a couple of lucky shots on him, so
yeah.
he's dealing with the shot wound and then a couple of lightsaber hits from Finn, who got lucky, who definitely got like should have gotten like his head decapitated, who also got lucky in that fight. Like
Yeah.
he was practically on the verge of death, but he should have been dead. And so I think Rey had like an advantage on Kylo Ren in that sense. I think the use of the Force was a little bit. I think already being able to grab the lightsaber from that far away out of Kylo Ren's Force grip was already kind of a strong leap.
Yeah. But
But then
that's
using
so
the Force
dope.
again,
I don't care.
you're
But
right.
doing
I would
for
have. She could have gotten away with it had they not done the Force thing at the end too.
yeah, that part because it's like again, like she's not getting coached to do it. She just hears the force and then says,
Mhm.
"Oh, the force." But then in the Last Jedi, it's like part of her issue is she's unable to like reach out to the force.
Which is, I think, is a great addition to that movie. Of like,
But yeah,
she isn't. Yeah, she is not a Mary Sue, and then she has to really like train for it. Again, they kind of go back on it at the very end of the movie. She lifts all those fucking rocks. It's like, okay, so you are pretty strong, I guess.
yeah. But the other element is with, and I just think this is just again an obvious like knock at her just because people want to hate on her. But the whole thing like, oh, she knows more about the Millennium Falcon than Han does because she pulls out the compressor at the end and it's like, oh, it's the compressor. It's like stopping them from doing something that they needed to do. And like you're just hating to hate at this point. Like
All
it
she
would make
does is
sense
scavenge ships, bro. All she
that
does is scavenge ships,
in Han
and
Solo, they literally say that number one, the ship has been changed, right? There's like a
yeah,
compressor or something in there, so it's not the ship that Han is used to. It's also been how many years since
like a
Han has been
decade
in
at
it?
least.
Like when you get back into something, even if you were an expert at one time, when you get back into it, there's gonna be a little rust. You know, you're
Yeah,
gonna need to shake off that rust. And so it would make sense that she's like, oh hey, this thing that you're not used to being in the ship is the thing that's causing this problem that you didn't expect because again, it's not the way that you set up your ship. So
Yeah.
Like that makes
He's
sense.
also like he walks into that cockpit and he immediately knows what the problem is. Like
And he already
he
does
goes,
like
who put a
half the things.
compressor
Yeah.
on this? Yeah, like he's like abundantly aware of his ship. He just didn't know how to bypass it, which is fine. She
Yeah.
bypassed it because she's a scavenger and she's aware of materials.
Hmm.
I think it's
So yeah,
perfectly fine. I think it's nitpicky for
I
people to
think
be
that
upset
whole
about
thing
that.
was silly, and that leads into the whole like a bunch of people are like, oh, character assassination. So stuff for like Han,
Hmm.
where they're like, oh, he doesn't know how to
No,
work his own ship, or people were pissed that like Han and Leia didn't work out, and that Han, went back to doing smuggling, and therefore reneged on his commitment to the rebellion and everything.
sorry,
And I'm
dude.
like,
That's classic Han.
that's number one classic Han, and it's also like that's
The second
life.
things get tough like that, he's gonna like the reason he left is because of what happened with Ben. Like that's the whole
Exactly. It's
point.
like that's not like him just skipping out to skim out. It's like that's a life shattering event,
Yeah.
and people cope in different ways. And obviously, it wasn't healthy, and it's a bad thing for him to do. But like people are like that. Like people, he
When
lost
you
his
lose a
son,
child like that,
and
yeah, you split up sometimes.
yeah,
Sometimes that
they
happens. That's real.
just couldn't handle it. So he went back to what he knew to distract himself, to cope, whatever it was. So like I think that's silly.
To be bros with Chewie.
Exactly.
Just the
Um,
boys. Just the boys out in the stars, man. Just hanging out.
so so yeah, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of silly critiques from
Yeah,
the fandom in us that I don't much appreciate.
I
So
agree.
we'll talk more about Luke's character in this next one. But as
Oh
far
man.
as the Force Awakens, how many traders or TR8Rs out of five?
I'm gonna give it 3.5.
Three and a half.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. I'm giving it a full five.
I knew you would.
I love
I know you
Star
do.
Wars. And I
I
love
know you
Force
do.
Awakens. It's amazing.
It's just
All right.
not as great as I remember it being. And the lack of originality kind of hurts. But
What'd you give it back in the day? I know you
probably like
don't
a
do
four and a
ratings, but you
half,
probably
four,
felt
four and a
like that.
half. Yeah. I probably liked it quite a bit more.
Very nice. All right. Now let's talk about The Last Jedi.
Yep.
2017 is when this thing came out. It
Yep.
made over $1.5 billion, so it's still doing great.
Mhm.
But this is quite unique because this is, I think, objectively, the most divisive film of all time.
One of, yeah.
What do you think would be more divisive than this?
It's tough. I just feel like I see so much hate for this movie. I don't see a lot of defense.
I see a lot. Check Letterbox right now. I don't know who you're following on Letterbox, but take a look. You will see as many 5 stars as you see like 1 stars.
I suppose. I'm definitely
People
I'm a
either
bit of a
love this movie or hate it
I'm a
to its
bit of a
core.
defender of The Last Jedi. But I
Uh-uh.
feel like in my perspective, I feel like I see so much hate because I'll say one nice thing about this movie and people will dog on me, dude. They'll be like, "What are you talking about? It's the worst Star Wars movie of all time." And I'll go, "What are you talking about? The Rise of Skywalker exists. Solo, a Star Wars story, exists.
Hey,
What do you mean?
Solo is not bad. Take that back.
Solo's not good."
I didn't say. I just said not bad. I think it's pretty decent.
I'm
I
a
think it's
defender of this movie. Let me talk about. Let's run it back to 2017. Let's
okay.
take a trip back in time.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
It's so
17
divisive.
years old. We are in high school. This is our senior year. Uh, I the reviews come out for this movie. I am now like more attuned to movies. I'm looking at reviews. Metacritic, I remember very distinctly, 88 out of 100. And I was like, "Oh my god, dude. Like The Force Awakens was good. This is going to be awesome."
It's
I,
over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and again,
yes.
that's what I think. The Force Awakens had 94 or 93 or something
Yes.
like that. This had
So,
about the same.
critics wise, this movie's blowing up. I'm like, "Oh my god, dude. Ryan Johnson has done it. He has taken J.J. Abrams' vision and he has like created an amazing because again,
Or namesake.
everybody, most people I know love Empire Strikes Back more than the first Star Wars film.
Yep.
And this is supposed to be the follow up to the rip off of the first Star Wars film. So by all means, they might be ripping off Empire or they might be doing their own thing. But the idea is kind of the same of like kind of continuing the story of what was already kind of a self contained story in itself.
Hmm.
And Ryan Johnson, I've seen Looper at this point, loved Looper. I think Ryan Johnson's cool. I've seen Breaking Bad at this point, and I've seen his episodes of Breaking Bad that he's done. Great. Very, very excited for The Last Jedi. I like
Hmm.
Ryan Johnson at this point. Very excited. I go into the movie, I watch the whole thing. I come out of it and I go, that was better than The Force Awakens. I liked it. I had a good time. There were some parts that I didn't fully take to, like the Canto Bite sequence, but for the most
Hmm.
part, I thought it was awesome. I thought the take on Luke Skywalker was original and interesting. I thought the whole storyline between Luke and Kylo was very, very compelling. I thought the return of Yoda was awesome. I thought
The goat.
the action sequences were really good, and I think the entire development, like taking the characters that were established in the first one and then giving them arcs and putting them on those arcs, I think Ryan Johnson did a very good job. And to this day, I stand by my arguments, and we're going to get into it. I stand by it.
Gotcha.
Then, like a week later, everybody's reactions start pouring out online, and they are trashing this movie. They are dogging on it. They are the fandom menace is in full swing, full force. Racism against Kelly Marie Tran,
Oh
death
yeah.
threats on Ryan Johnson. Everybody's saying Ryan Johnson's the worst filmmaker ever. They hate this movie. They think it's atrocious. It's ruined Star Wars. According to a lot of people, it's the worst Star Wars movie of all time. They shouldn't even make a third movie. They are all mad that J.J. Abrams didn't make this one. That they split up. Everybody's pissed at Kathleen Kennedy, and Star Wars is over and dead, and everybody hates it.
They killed
And
it.
I'm like, did they watch the same movie as me? Because this movie is good. It's not perfect. There are definitely like things that I think they fall short on in a lot of ways. I think there are a lot of points where it doesn't take itself as seriously as I wish it would,
Yeah.
and there are definitely moments where I think they were holding back from setting up a third installment in favor of kind of like creating a good singular movie, because this was always going to be Ryan Johnson's only Star Wars movie. He was never going to ever direct that third one. So there's a lot of like, I feel like there's a lot of I'm going to make the best singular movie I can without consideration of a third installment kind of going on here, which I think is kind
Yeah.
of rough. But also, I think there are great character arcs. I think there are great story moments, and I think above all, it is original. I think he takes
Uh-huh.
a unique choice that is original, and he goes for a risk and he goes for the swing, and I think it works in a lot of places. Take me back to 2017, Ryan. What is your impression?
So I can't remember what exactly the firestorm was when I was going into it, but I'm sure I must have known again the very positive critical reception. I would have seen it opening weekend. Again, I'm a crazy Star Wars fan,
Of
so I'm,
course.
I'm there opening weekend. But even by that point, there would have been the rumblings of distaste
I
from some
heard
of the
nothing
fans.
until after I saw it, which is
Really,
what's crazy. Yeah. I saw
and,
it and I was like, everybody's gonna love this. And then everybody hated it.
and so I went in pretty like open minded. Again, I'm not really colored by any of the fan response or critic response. Usually, if I go in, I'm just like, if I enjoyed it, I enjoyed it. Um, that was me with Batman versus Superman, where I knew for sure everyone's like hating that movie. I go in, I'm like, it's not that bad, guys.
Mhm.
Like, it's okay. But with this one, I came out of it liking it. I thought it was good.
Let's go.
But here's the funny thing, and this is part of why I really always wanted to talk about this film in particular. Back in high school, right? We're talking about senior year.
Yeah.
I wrote for the newspaper that we had, In Flight News. You remember?
I do remember in
inflightnews.com or
flight
whatever it
news.
was.
Yep.
So I couldn't take the class with them, but because
You would write
the
articles.
English teacher, I was tied with him. And so I was like, I want to write some articles. So I'd write some articles, some political ones. There's a banger on why the Electoral College should go away. There's one about the prediction for the 2016 election, which
Mhm.
was quite an eventful one to go back to. Um, and then I wrote a review for The Last Jedi, which, by the way, never got published, which is so
Oh,
absurd because
criminal.
they're, friends with just the other people in the class. And so they posted
Yeah.
somebody else's review that was like 2 sentences long. I have right now, I've pulled up uh, on my Word document, I have my review of The Last Jedi,
Do you
and
have
it
it?
is
How long
five
is it?
pages long.
Give me the
Five
highlights.
pages.
We're not reading 5 pages, but give me the
We're not reading
highlights.
5 pages, but I'm going to give you because I'm such a good you know, high school journalist that I broke it down into sections here. The main takeaway, so I had the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, I said it's audacious and original. That was my first
Yes.
point in its favor, which I
Yes.
100% agree with you. Um, I mentioned it's a technical marvel, which we talked about here. Again, all the like sequels looked incredible, and there's a lot of fantastic shots that
Yeah,
Ryan
dude.
Johnson puts into
The
this one.
burning tree with Yoda and Luke. Money
Hmm.
shot.
It is quite beautiful. We'll get to this, but the themes, I'm a themes guy. I
Hmm.
love my themes. And this one, which is very commendable because The Force Awakens, for how much I think it's enjoyable and just like an incredible blockbuster and an amazing like love letter to the Star Wars franchise and everything. That film is not really trying to tread new ground, right?
No.
Thematically, it is touching on only the same stuff that the original trilogy was touching on. This film, Last Jedi, does try to say something. Like it tries to go beyond, just making
Yes.
a entertaining blockbuster. It tries to say some things. And so I thought that was compelling. I put that there. One of my notes is Yoda returning. That's it. Enough said. So true. 100% agree with that.
Absolutely.
And I said Lightspeed Kamikaze. We'll get to that. I said the Luke on crate sequence. The bad. I put comedy question mark. I had the same thought as you, even back then, where I
Yeah.
said I think there's some moments where they, and this is the case with Marvel especially, where it's like they sap a lot of tension that they build up in a scene just to get a cheap laugh. I said the Canto Bight sequence, Finn and Rose's storyline. There's some wasted moments. So we talked a little bit about this, but like Maz Kanata not really being prominent,
Yep.
Captain Phasma, which we didn't even mention in Force
Oh,
Awakens.
dude. Yeah, brutal.
Again, just so cool, like a design of the character, and then not really much going on there. Then I had disjointed story. We'll get to that. That's the overall like trilogy, which again is the famous takeaway of the sequels is, hey, if you're gonna pay $4 billion to take on a franchise, maybe have an idea for where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And then my note was the original trilogy is dead. This one was kind of sad because I was talking about it. I was like, the big three is gone. What's there to come back to in episode 9?
Yeah. Because at this
So
point,
all
they've
that.
killed off Han and Luke, and Carrie Fisher has passed on in real life.
Mhm.
What was there left?
Yeah. But here is the way I close it out. So I was like, oh, this is a well-crafted film with many narrative flaws as well as narrative triumphs. I mean, it's fun and emotional, and even with the complaints that I leveled at it, I doubt that many can say that they were not invested in it. It is not the best Star Wars movie. It's not the worst Star Wars movie. But I will say Star Wars has changed. It's different. It's new. It's vibrant. It's fresh. It's riveting. It always has been, always will be. The moment that it is not is when Star Wars is actually dead. Rian Johnson is not who killed it. It'll only be when we, the fans, no longer find anything compelling about it. And The Last Jedi was extremely compelling. In light of that, it carried the baton well. Now it's up to J.J. Abrams in Episode 9 to send it off the same way, just hopefully quite a bit better. Oh, my poor sweet summer child.
I know.
They did not do that. But my takeaway was very like measured and balanced compared to what I was seeing. It was like all these insane positive reviews of like masterpiece, the first real Star Wars movie, the best
Yeah.
Star Wars movie, even better than
Yeah.
Empire, and then all the like insane hate of like they ruined Star Wars,
Yeah.
they killed it, they killed my childhood, they killed
Those
Luke,
are both incorrect.
and
Absolutely.
so just the extremes. And I was sort of in the middle where I'm like, I actually recognize a lot of the flaws. I'm like, a lot of this is bad, a lot of that doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
the Canto Bight sequence, this and that. But then also a lot of the good where I'm like, they did reach for something new and compelling. They did try and go in a refreshing way. They did challenge, the essence of Star Wars, which is compelling to do in this like massive blockbuster franchise.
Mhm.
8 movies in, you're like, I'm going to try and take us in a new direction. And it's going to be tough and people are not going to vibe with it all the way, but we're going to do it anyway. And we're going to have one of our themes literally be addressing that. The whole thing of kill the past, like move on from it if you have to, kill it if you have to.
Mhm.
I think all that was super interesting. So it's one of my favorite like movies to discuss and talk about.
Yes.
And I think at some point in the future, I want to have a cinema showdown. We need to find people that love it, that are on the masterpiece level, and then people that hate it, and then have them argue, and then just see what comes of it.
I bet you Sean Tormey hates The Last Jedi.
People are very passionate. I'm sure. Yeah, I bet he does. He's very vocal.
It's
about
gonna
it.
be it's gonna be The Last of Us 2 all over again, man.
Yeah, and there's
That
a
is the
lot.
only other piece of media that I think I have like been on. I think the smaller end of the discourse so passionately of like I think The Last Jedi is good, and so many people I know hate it, and I think The Last of Us 2 is good, and everybody hates that
A
game.
lot of people hate that too. Yeah, so look at you. So you're fighting against the crowd here.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying to fight
Pissed off
against it.
fans.
If I had to rank the Star Wars movies, I think The Last Jedi comes pretty smack dab in the center.
Yeah, I would say the same as well.
I think the only ones in the Skywalker Saga I would put under it are Attack of the Clones and Rise of Skywalker for sure is the worst. and maybe Phantom Menace, depending on how I feel. I think it's pretty on the level with Phantom Menace.
Yeah, when we get to the prequels, I'll be curious to see where those shake out because
Yeah,
Revenge of the Sith, no secret, I think we talked about it before. I love that movie. I
dude,
adore
it's
it.
sick.
It is incredible. Again, as a kid, like growing up, it was fighting for my favorite, along
Yeah,
with Return of the Jedi. And we'll talk about that when we get to the original trilogy. This is not new for Star Wars. Okay, people were hating on Return of the Jedi. They said that ruined Star Wars.
yeah.
Like you people can never be happy. Just
No, they
shut up
can't.
and like watch the film or don't. Like you're fine either
In
way.
30 years, they're gonna make a new trilogy. People are gonna dog on. It. They're gonna go. You know what? The
That's
Last
the
Jedi
thing.
was pretty good.
And the people love the prequels now. Look at Letterboxd. It's insane. It has a 4.0 Revenge of the Sith, which again, I love that movie. That's bonkers. Like that's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
And
very high.
then you see uh, uh yeah, all the like current Skywalker or the sequels are all below the prequels. And it's like, okay, check back in 15 years when they have Rey's new trilogy or whatever.
Yeah,
And then the
I
people that
think.
grew up on the sequels are now able to like, have a presence in pop culture and social media and
Yeah,
everything. And then they're going to be like, these films are great. And then the new ones are stupid and dumb.
yeah. I
So
think we can all agree the Last Jedi is like divisive, but we can all agree that Rise of Skywalker is bad. So even though everybody knows that Rise of Skywalker is worse, people are more passionate about the Last Jedi being bad,
yeah. And I think
which I think
that's
is crazy.
that's a beautiful way to close it all out is Rise of Skywalker. They were in a tough spot because they needed to win back the fans who hated Last Jedi and also continue pleasing the fans who love The Force Awakens, and they achieved none of it.
None.
They failed
None of it.
both teams.
Failed fucking miserably.
But yeah, Last Jedi is where I think all the passion resides because again, The Force Awakens, I think most people were happy with it. Even the
Yeah,
criticism like, oh, it's a new hope. I think that became more prominent after The Last Jedi. And then
for
people went
sure.
back and like, actually I hate all the sequels. But I think people are like, you watch that film
People like the Force
in a
Awakens.
vacuum, you're gonna like it. Like it's well made, it's fun. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna like it.
it's good.
Last Jedi, I guess that's where people really were like, "Oh, this has ruined my childhood." And so let's talk about it, since
Let's talk about it.
we're sort of in the medium there, so we can speak to the strengths of the films of this film
Yeah,
and the weaknesses of it.
yeah.
Um,
Let's talk about the gorilla in the room. Let's talk about Luke Skywalker.
okay, let's do it.
What are your thoughts on
Old
Luke
Lukey
Skywalker in this
Luke.
movie?
So the big criticism, right, is that Luke's character was assassinated
Yes, biggest
for
criticism by far.
the major reason, and I say this all the time, of like with Kylo Ren, that he would bring up his lightsaber to strike down Kylo when this is Luke Skywalker, the man who brought back Darth Vader from the dark side. Like if
Mhm.
he is able to bring back the big villain of the galaxy, Darth Vader, the man who also killed his mentor Obi-Wan, this guy is not gonna believe that he can bring back his own apprentice, Ben Solo, and that he would strike him down.
Yes,
And to that, I say, did you watch the movie where Luke clearly says he had a moment of weakness where he
followed by immense shame.
immense guilt and shame, and then Ben woke up seeing the lightsaber ignited and took the fear of that rather than seeing what was on Luke's face, which was already the shame and guilt of having even thought about like striking down this kid. And I think that's like amazing. Like that
Yeah,
is so human that Luke, who can feel the force, right? He's sensing Ben's dream, feels the power that Snoke has over him in that moment, can see, I'm sure, some vision of the future of Ben being on the dark side. And then knowing that that power is there, fearing that it may kill people that he loves, destroy the whole Jedi Order, all of that stuff, in a moment of just pure instinct and reaction to defend against something like that, ignites his lightsaber and is ready to bring it down. But it was a moment of weakness, and he realized and he thought through it, and he said, "No, I'm not going to kill this kid." Um, but he couldn't, make up for that mistake quick enough before Ben saw it, and then that misunderstanding is what causes the rift. And I think that part of it is like logical and very human, and it makes sense why Kylo would become Kylo and why Luke would feel so much shame.
yeah. It's a great backstory for Kylo Ren.
It 100% works. Now here is my issue.
Okay.
30 years. Well, I guess not 30 years, but 10 years, however long Luke has been gone, right? Off the radar,
Yeah,
off the grid.
let's call it 10.
that's where it does become an issue for me a little bit, where I'm like, Luke was indeed the guy. His whole arc in Return of the Jedi is, even against Obi-Wan's wishes, even against Yoda's wishes, is trying to bring Vader back to the light side. He's like, I am not giving up on you, my father, which is amazing. That's why part of why I love Return of the Jedi so much. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful film. The whole thematic takeaway of that is Luke is like, no one's ever gone. No one's too far gone. And he tries to bring his father back and ultimately succeeds. I just don't know that I fully can accept that Luke would not just straight up abandon like Kylo Ren, but then also the entire galaxy and everything. Like that the shame is that strong that he would separate himself off from the Force, separate himself from his family, from the rest of the Order, from the Republic, and then even when clearly there's danger afoot and somebody Ray is coming to him, begging for him to get back in the fight, and he knows that Han Solo is gone and everything, that he's still, not ready to jump back into the fight. I don't know about that.
I
Do
can
you think
believe it.
that is at odds with Luke's
I can
character?
believe it. And let me make the argument.
Make the case.
I think in Return of the Jedi, Luke is in a position where he is defending his belief that nobody's too far gone and that he just is trying to bring back his father. He's quite literally in a moral high ground here, right?
Yeah.
In this film, he no longer is in that position. He is feeling immense, immense shame, not just for like losing Ben to the dark side and it being his fault, but losing Leia's child to the dark side, like his sister's child, the shame he feels that he was entrusted with Leia and Han's kid and that he failed and all of this is his fault. I think he just can't face that. The criticism I would levy about Luke's character, which I think there's no way to watch this movie realistically and not levy a criticism against his character. The criticism I would levy is that he would eventually come around and come out of his self-imposed like exile to face Kylo Ren in a way that is not trying to bring him back to the light side.
Yeah, he's
He
still.
feels more dismissive of Kylo Ren. He says, "Well, I lost you. See you around, kid." And it doesn't feel like Luke trying to bring him back. That's the
Right.
part where I'm like, you could have stuck the landing of Luke comes out, he faces Kylo Ren, he puts his lightsaber away the same as Ben Kenobi does, and which he does in this movie, and he says something to the effect of like, "You can strike me down, but you'll always be Ben Solo." Like the same thing that Han Solo says to him in the next movie, of just like, "You're
Mhm.
still just Ben, like you're still in there. Strike me down if you must." You know, he could
Right.
have said something to that effect, and he doesn't. He just says, "See you around, kid," and then dies, which is tough. It's tough for that to be the end of Luke Skywalker. For Han Solo to have more of a like, I mean, it is Han's child, so you can make that argument, but I feel like Luke's character is more aligned with the "I will not give up on you" spirit. You know,
Right. And Leia was pushing Han in that movie in The Force Awakens to do it, and Han did. Here, Rey is pushing Luke. She's like, we go to him, if I go to him, then he will turn to the light. And Luke is completely dismissive of it, which,
yeah,
maybe for good reason, since Kylo does not, in fact, turn to light in that movie. But um,
he does
it's just,
eventually.
yeah, it's the whole point of him in Return of the Jedi, and the part that makes him so like lovable in that film, is because of his faith in the fact that his father can come back to light side despite all the horrible things that he had done. So it's like antithetical to that, which again, that's character complexity. It can be interesting. I just don't know that it actually is well supported enough in this
Yeah,
film, because then he's also like, well, now all of the Jedi need to be destroyed, and like I can't. Even if you failed to get Ben back, and you're like, well, actually, now I no longer believe that anyone can come back to light. It's like, well, why wouldn't you try and do, mitigate the damage? Like, go
yeah,
out there and fight back against him. If you don't think you can bring him back, at least don't let him wreak havoc on everyone in the galaxy. And again, that goes to, obviously, it's irrational what he does if he's being so guilt ridden that he's like, I need to
mhm.
just detach, and that would be better for the galaxy.
Yes.
Which, sure, he
I
could
see that
believe that.
argument. I just wish that his comeback was more of a comeback of his full character
Yeah,
of
faith in
not even
Kylo.
like a commitment to the Jedi religion, but just a commitment to humanity, like or just of the commitment to the Force itself. Of I believe that you have this Force in you that is good, even though you are doing so many bad things, and I want to bring that good back.
Yeah.
That would have been a really good ending for Luke's
or even
character,
just like
and they didn't do that.
apologizing and being like,
Yes,
I'm
I'm
so
so like, I'm
dumb.
sorry I
I should have
failed
been
you.
there for you more. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would have
Um,
been a really good ending, and that would have been a really great moment for Kylo to become incredibly frustrated and angry and lean more into the dark side of
yeah.
like, I can't believe you returned. I can't believe you're back. You were the person that betrayed me when I needed you the most. How dare you apologize? It would have been a
Mhm.
great character moment for Kylo Ren, and they didn't lean on that, which is unfortunate.
Indeed. So yeah, I don't know. I'm at odds because I do think
That's
again
the
the moment
only
when
part of
he
Luke's the ending of Luke's character is the only thing that I think is a failure of this film. But I think the entire training bit on the planet where he's like teaching Ray and is like a little bit more curmudgeon about it, I think is a great choice because the Force Awakens set up the idea that Luke is gone. Like, why would he remove himself from this entire story
and that was
for
the
any
thing
other reason?
they had to find out. But I think there could have been a way, which again would make a whole different film for Last Jedi. But was there some way that again he's at the first Jedi temple or whatever? Like there was some way maybe that he's like searching for something that could fight back against Snoke, and like that's why he
Like an
disconnected
ancient
from like
religious thing.
us, but he was like connected with the Force, and he had to go to like a source of the Force's power in
But I
order
think
to
that
get
becomes
more
the
into.
difference of like J.J. Abrams' storytelling and Ryan Johnson's storytelling, where I think J.J. Abrams is very plot heavy and plot focused, and I think Ryan Johnson very much cares about like his characters and the character arcs that they go on,
Right.
and being satisfied with that. And I think there was an attempt made, which I think was bold, to give Luke a very new type of character and to have him go on a character arc. And I think they almost stuck the landing. I think they slipped right at the end, which really
Yeah.
upsets me.
But again, I just think it's so just so against what we do know of Luke as a character.
But
Like
that's
his
what I think is so
the
great.
whole thrust in the third movie he was in was I need to save my father. Like that is
I'm saying if he had come around and and come back to his original character, I think that would have been satisfying for everybody.
I think would have been more satisfying. I think people would have enjoyed it more. But then you would still have the idea that for 10 years or whatever he disconnected because he no longer believed that. And it's like
If they
maybe
leaned more
3
into the
years,
guilt and
but
shame that he felt, I think they
10
could have sold
years. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's just a little bit too much of a stretch and too much against his character for me to buy into it. And then, as you said, yeah, if they stuck the landing better, would have made it easier to
it. Would have
digest. But
mitigated a lot of damage.
yeah, but yeah, so people again hate Luke in this film because of that reason. Like it's part of the stuff that they throw against him. People also love to hate on the blue milk.
Dude, I
Would
love that shit.
you, if you're
That
in
shit
that
is sick.
situation? I mean, you're drinking from the tap. I mean, what are we doing? Come
Yes, sir.
on.
Dude, that shit is awesome.
Watching it back this time, I was like, this is weird. Like, there's
No,
too
dude.
much of a pause because the last
Sick.
line is there. They want to have the audience laugh and whatnot, but I'm like, this,
Him like leaping on the pole and fishing with it. Everything he does on that island is awesome.
yeah. I have some questions about maybe more efficient ways to do things, especially at the Force. I guess it comes from
Yeah,
the
sure. I
Force, and that's
think
part of why he did
he's
that.
close
But
himself off. Yeah, I think using a pole that's 10 stories tall to fish is kind of a little illogical, but still cool. My
um,
question is, if he's closed off from the force, how's he going to get that fish up to him? Does he pick up the whole pole and
yeah, that's what he's just
whip the whole thing
whacking
up?
me. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, 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 to get the
Um,
fish? Like, yeah, there's definitely like a part of the island closer to the water that you could have fished from.
so that's a bit silly. I just don't believe that Luke would not be in the fight. That's just crazy to me. So, and I don't think I felt that way in
I think if
2017.
they
I think I felt that
nailed,
less.
I think if they nailed the guilt that he felt a little better, I think it would be believable. I think the idea that he's the reason that Kylo Ren, his nephew, has lost his way and has become such a like a benevolent force of nature and like has lost his parents have lost him. Like it'd be like if you killed their son almost, you know, like the guilt and shame that he feels because it is 100% his fault. Like I think there's enough to want to exile and close yourself off, you know. And I think they don't stick the landing of his reunion with Leia enough to like make it believable of like I feel horrible for what I've done, you know.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
does
think
apologize to her, but
yes, but not enough. Like I don't think he sticks the land. I don't think they stick the landing of how guilty he truly felt. Because if he's going to exile himself and cut himself off from the fight for 10 years and cut himself off from the Force completely and just let himself die and let the Jedi Order die, they need to stick that guilt a little bit better. And
right,
he needs to forgive himself at the end too. I don't think he does that.
right. Well, I mean, his talk with Yoda and everything, I feel like he comes to an understanding
Yeah, but I don't
enough
think there's
that
like a
it's like,
full forgiveness of himself. and it attempts to reach out to
Well,
Ben
probably
in a
not.
way that is
And
positive.
until I guess Ben comes back, I don't think fully can forgive himself for it. But again, like the mistake of having a lightsaber drawn and Ben sees it again, that's just a misunderstanding.
Mhm.
Um, and then whether or not, he could have, there's got to be some, free will. Like he can't just stop Ben from being tempted by the dark. But yeah, I do think it's funny. I was just reading my review here again, and I didn't bring up again the notion of like Return of the Jedi Luke versus his mindset in this.
Yeah,
It's mainly touched on the again that moment of the brief moment of shameful weakness where he was going to kill Kylo Ren to snuff out the darkness. It was powerful. I don't believe it stains the character that we knew in the original trilogy. It develops it. So I'm a little bit different. I'm a little more on the negative side today than I was, back then in 2017 when I was a little more defensive of that character choice.
I like it.
Um, but yeah, and I also think the which is funny having the dialogue between the films with the lightsaber because again, complete reverence in the Force Awakens. Here in the Last Jedi, the first time we see right is the continuation of the ending, and then Luke takes the lightsaber, looks at it, and then chucks it over his shoulder,
I loved it. I've
which
always loved it.
I remember laughing in the theater when it happened, but then also simultaneously being like, that was kind of stupid. Because I remember and I watched The Force Awakens again, and I'm like, this is such a hype ending. Like her reaching out with the lightsaber, he's gonna take it. Oh, this is dope. And it's like you wait 2 years and you get to this, and then he just dismisses it. And it's like it's a laugh. It was a good laugh, but I'm like, why did we do that? Why would he have just like chucked it over his shoulder? And that goes to the whole point of subverting expectations, which
Mhm.
became a whole thing with The Last Jedi. But then since then, when toxic fandom is upset, they're like, oh, the filmmakers are trying to get too cutesy or clever with it and they want to subvert expectations. That became
I
like
hear that a
a
lot. Yeah.
shorthand for being upset with how people come in and take properties that they're not fans of and then they disrespect the fans. So, and I think there's an intentionality behind it. I think Ryan Johnson definitely intended to do that. He had to know with the lightsaber toss. Again, that was where we ended episode 7. So when you start episode 8 with a complete just reversal of what you would think is going to happen there, you're setting us up to anticipate a lot of those moments. And throughout Last Jedi, we get that. There's some tropes of Star Wars that were not carried on in The Last Jedi. Nobody says, I got a bad feeling about this
Yep.
in this episode. Nobody's arm gets cut off.
Yep.
Every other film, this stuff happens. Hux, previously, again, Nazi number one, he's now
Yeah.
treated as a joke.
Not a fan of that.
Snoke, again, all the fan theories and everything about Rey's parents, about who Snoke is, what's going on, like it was
Yeah,
mental
dude.
in
People were going
2016 leading
crazy
up to
about
this.
that shit.
I gotta say, I don't remember. I don't know what I was watching, what prediction videos I was watching. I don't think people were predicting that Snoke is just gonna get killed
Yeah,
in
no.
the middle of this film. Didn't expect that. And then the Rey's parents again. Everyone's, is she a Kenobi? Is she a Skywalker? Is she a blah blah blah? Is she a Palpatine? Is she this and that? And then we get the reveal that she's nobody. They were nobody. They sold you for scraps, is what Ben tells her. And let me say, goaded, a goaded choice to do this.
Yeah,
I
I like
love
it.
the fact that they were
I
like,
like it
you
a lot.
are a nobody. Because we, the audience, and then she, of course, is also expected to be like, there has to be something behind all this. There has to be a point. There has to be a meaning. It's got to be somebody huge, right? Her family lineage. And no,
Mhm.
it's not. And I think that's beautiful because to me, it's like, okay, so someone can
Anybody.
have the
Yeah.
power, the strength, this heroic instinct. Anybody can have that and can
Yeah.
find themselves, caught up in this grand adventure. I love that.
Yeah.
It was
Me
so
too.
beautiful. So that's like one element of the whole subverting expectations. I think Ryan Johnson absolutely killed it on. Um, some other major moments. Canto Bite. You
Tough.
said you weren't a fan.
Not really. I like the pushing, like the wings pushing that they do when they first introduce Canto Bite. Not a fan of the
Hmm.
rest of it. I think it kind of falls flat. The messaging of like the animal treatment and stuff. I think that kind of falls flat in the whole story. I
Yeah,
think the only thing that really sells the war is bad message is when Benicio del Toro was on the ship and he's flipping through all the plans. He's like, "Oh, this is a weapons dealer selling goods to the bad guys and also the good guys," and they have the X-wing plans on there.
it's a
That's the
fun
only
little
thing.
reveal.
Yeah.
My issue with that though is if I'm anyone in this situation, I'd be like, okay, So the people profiting off the war, I still don't like them. But is this supposed to mean like the rebels aren't as good anymore because they have to get
Yeah.
materials to fight this war
No, I
from
wouldn't believe that at
scumbags?
all.
It's like, yeah, that doesn't change anything for me. Like I'm
It
like,
changes
oh, I just saw a
nothing.
bunch of
Yeah.
crazy rich people that Rose already told me suck and are benefiting off the war, and then you just told me, yeah, they're playing both sides. Okay, so now I hate these guys even more, but we still need to work with them to get the materials in order to fight back against the obviously greater evil of the First Order. So I'm like, whatever. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't click. The other issue here, because Finn and Rose's storyline, which again is truly terrible. The way that Rose got treated,
Yeah.
her actress got treated,
Mhm.
quite awful. Um, and
I thought
then
she was
the
a good character.
disrespect in Rise of Skywalker to just put her in the background. She has like no
Yeah.
lines. She has
It's
like two
awful.
scenes. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
So justice for her,
They also
but
they sidelined Finn pretty much a lot in Rise of Skywalker too. As a result, kind of, he's
yeah,
there, but he doesn't really do anything.
yeah, that's true. And to give him, we'll talk about that. His like little subplot that I thought
Yeah,
was absurd. But in this one, so they have the cancel by thing. My issue with this though is twofold. One, as far as plot consequence, it means nothing. They could have not gone on this trip, and there would have been no effect on
yeah,
the actual outcome of like their escape,
for sure.
except for the fact that actually them being with Benicio del Toro means that he is able to cut a deal with the First Order because he tells them that all the transports are leaving the main ship
Yeah,
to
it
go
actually
get Crait.
hurts.
And
Yeah,
so it actually hurts that
makes it
like
worse.
29 out of 30 ships get destroyed or something
It fucks
because
up
they go on this,
Holdo's plan. Yeah,
which is like terrible and awful. But here's the other thing, which is why this whole thing is stupid, and that ties into the Poe and Holdo thing, is they would have maybe not, gone on this mission at all, or certainly would have been a little more tight-lipped when they're communicating with Poe about like what is going on with the mission. If they had known that there was going to be this whole transport escape plan in the first place, so that would have avoided the issue of Benicio del Toro finding out and then being able to sell that information away and risking everything. But what does Finn learn in this journey? Like, what is his character arc here? Because I think there's one that Ryan Johnson is intending, but I just don't think any of it is actually backed up by like what he goes through.
yeah. I think
He's
the idea is supposed to be that, at least previously in the previous installment, Finn is mostly out just to protect his
he's all about
friends.
Ray. He's
Yeah, he's all
all
about
Ray
Ray
and
and
Chris.
himself, and he's not much about like the cause. He's more about just protecting the people he actually individually cares about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea in this story is he's being paired with Rose, whose sister has sacrificed herself for the cause, who understands like the greater threat at hand outside of just like the personal threat of your friends being in danger, understands the
Yes,
greater threat of the First Order, and is willing to make that sacrifice.
which is I think beautifully set up
Yes.
in her first exchange with Finn, where she's like, "Oh, you're the hero," and he's like, "No, no, I'm not a hero," and she's like, "Oh, it's so good to hear because I've been having to tase people that are trying to
Deserters.
flee deserters left and right," and then sees that he has the bag and everything, and she's like, "Oh," and then tases him. Like
Yeah.
that is a great little
Mhm.
character setup there between the two of them.
And then the very end of it, when they're on that last planet, I don't even remember the name of it.
Great.
Crate. They're on Crate. Finn steps up to sacrifice himself. Poe has his whole character arc where he becomes more willing, like less willing to make sacrifices for the bigger wins. Is like willing to lose to fight another day. Tells him to pull off, which I think is a decent character arc for Poe. Again, entirely dependent upon Holdo just literally not telling information and not sharing anything.
We'll get to that because my concern here with Finn, because you see, yeah, he's all about Ray in the beginning. Even then, when he's trying to
Mhm,
leave, he's doing it because he's like, "This is doomed. I want to go make sure Ray doesn't come back and get
mhm.
destroyed."
Yeah,
Then when he's on Casino World, he's like enraptured by it. He's like, "Oh, this is great," and I'm like, "Why would he be that?" And we've been in a casino. It's depressing in a casino. This
it
one is, Star
sucks.
Wars effect casino. It's depressing. In
It
no way
sucks.
would he be like, "Oh, this is jazzy. This is cool." But for whatever reason, I don't even think it's in his character that he'd be like hyped up by this, materialism. But he's like, oh, this is
Yeah,
dope.
maybe. I don't put it past him.
We
You
don't
know,
really
just like
know, but
just the surface
ah,
level like splendor of it all. This guy who's like put through stormtrooper boot camp, who has never seen any riches or anything fancy or anything in his life that is cool, being put into this place that is just one big party. I think my problem with the Canto Bite scene is it's too much of a message of capitalism,
mhm.
which you know me, I love a good message about capitalism. I feel like I think I look at Canto Bite, the design of it, and I'm disgusted by it inherently because it doesn't feel like enough of a party. It feels too much like a
And we've
casino.
talked about, well, yeah, the casino thing.
If they just
It
made
is
it,
a casino. I
yeah,
think
if
they
they made it
could make
feel
it
more like a
fun.
party, yeah, it didn't feel fun at all. It felt stuffy and obnoxious, which is why I'm
Exactly.
surprised. That's the only thing that I think is like, why does he? If it was like a big like Jay Gatsby kind of party where there's a bunch of
Yeah.
liquor and like people partying and dancing and there's music going on, I could see him being enthralled by that. I could see myself being enthralled by that. But they lean full into like rich, stuffy, capitalist casino, like Monaco type style
Yeah.
gambling, and I just am not. I'm not someone who finds that appealing. Perhaps there are people who do, who are the people who
Maybe
deserve the messaging. Maybe I
I'd
don't
be
know.
curious to see if that like lands for people because when I was watching, I was like, I'm not convinced by it. And there's been
Yeah,
time we talked about Wolf of Wall Street and stuff like that, where insane hedonism never would partake in real life. But I'm like, I see the appeal. I'm like, this, I see the appeal.
yeah,
In
that's
the
awesome.
casino world, I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
see
no,
feel this. And
it just
then
doesn't
that's
look fun at all. It looks like people losing money.
so I don't buy that Finn, who again I generally like, and I'm like, oh, this is great. We haven't seen that again. It's not necessarily disproven by anything we've seen in his character, but I don't feel that he would be like caught up in all
Hmm.
this. And so, and then there's like the animal stuff as well, which the CGI on that again is a little tough. So that doesn't help his case. But the whole point there is like he's supposed to be shifting to be like, okay, I will believe in the cause, right? Benicio del Toro betrays him, right? He does this whole thing of like, oh, the best way to win the fight is like not be a part of it, right? Because both people are using these war profiteers, which again I think is a stupid idea in any way. But then Finn gets betrayed by Benicio del Toro. Captain Phasma is there about to like kill him.
Hmm.
So again, he's in a point where he's in self defense mode. He's fighting back against the First Order because once again they are the ones like seizing him, so he needs to push
Yes.
back against them. Then he gets back to Crate, and then his whole thing is now he's going to help again survive against the coming First Order forces. So again, he's in self defense mode. But when he goes to go and do that sacrifice, the part that I don't like about it, well, there's two things I don't like. One, Poe just says he's like, "It's too late. Like we're not going to get there in time." And he just says that. How do we know that he knows that that's actually the case? I feel like the best time to actually do a suicide run into a cannon that's charging up is when it's like about to be charged, and therefore you would hit and it would explode into itself, and then like
We're
what's the
getting into
plan
science
before
fiction
that?
rules again. I don't
Because
know.
what was the plan before that though? Were they going to go and like shoot into it or dive into it? Like why would a
They do
dormant
say
not
that right
charge?
down the mouth is the best place to hit it.
Yeah,
I think they say that at some point at the charge,
right
like
down the
to
mouth
charge it straight on and hit it
as it's
right down the
charging.
mouth.
So I don't get that. But anyway, he's like, oh, we got to peel away. He is charging towards it, and again, I'm like, would he not have done this previously? Like, what about his journey on Kansas has changed him to where he's like now willing to make the sacrifice where he otherwise wouldn't have? Because he cares about Poe, he cares
I think
about
the
Leia.
idea, I think the
So I
idea
feel like
is that
he's going into it.
I think the idea is that he is willing to sacrifice himself for the cause, whereas previously he was only willing to like put himself in harm's way to save somebody else. You know, I think he is now like more abundantly aware of the harms that the First Order has beyond his actual personal reach because he's seen what the First Order can do to individual people. I
Right.
don't think he is
But he's
as
also always known that he was fired
yeah,
or he saw them like kill
yeah,
people in the village. So it's like he's always known that First Order is bad. But at
yeah.
a certain point, he was like, well, I just need to get myself away from this. But he's still caught up with like Poe. Someone he cares about. Ray is now in like Crate, which he saw. But now he's charging down. The mission is to destroy this thing so that they can survive, but also just his friends can survive. Again, Ray's not going to make it out if they don't stop this machine from burrowing into the cave. So
Yeah, I think it's a tough character journey for Finn to go on because I
yeah,
think he's already at the end of the Force Awakens willing to put himself in harm's way for other people, And so
Exactly.
to get him to the point where he's willing to sacrifice himself for the larger good is like a very small movement that he has to make. So I don't really think there needs to be a character journey for him to get to that point.
And the other thing, because then it's like, so he's willing to sacrifice himself before for someone like Ray, someone he actually cares about.
Mhm.
But here, when Rose comes in and stops him from killing himself,
Mhm.
she goes, "This is how we win, not by fighting what we hate, but saving what we love."
Then she awkwardly kisses him.
And awkwardly kisses him. And he was not about that. It's very odd. But
Very odd.
but why is that what she says? Because obviously she says it's just like this major, statement, right? That has nothing to do with his character thus far. Because number
Yeah.
one, he's been trying to save people. What is he doing right now? He's trying to sacrifice himself, not because he's hating on the First Order. He could be, and by the way, that's fine. But also, he's trying to save the people he loves. He's like, oh, I don't want Poe, Leia, Rey, all these people to die. So he's already fighting to like save people he loves. Also, if he were fighting to destroy what he hates, good. So what? Like, what is the issue there? He
I think the
knows how bad the First
line
Order is.
I think the line would have gone harder if he was in mid fight with Captain Phasma and he was about to like kill himself in order to kill Phasma. You know what I'm saying? Like he
Mm,
was willing to sacrifice himself just to also kill Phasma at the same time out of hatred. I think if Rose had put herself in harm's way to get him out of there, as opposed to like if they're fighting on like a rickety thing about to fall into flames, and Rose pulls him out before he can kill Phasma, allowing Phasma to live to the next movie, which I think she should have done anyway. I think
yeah,
that line would have gone
me
harder
for
of like, hey, you were going to get yourself killed fighting this hate thing that you hate. Live to fight another day.
yeah,
Save what you love. I think that line would have gone harder in that moment. I think the idea of Finn willing to sacrifice himself to literally save the entire resistance,
is
I
good.
think that line
And
is
she like
misplaced.
tries to stop him from doing that,
I'm not
and
even
then
gonna
it's
lie to
like
you. She says it, and Finn's face is like, "What do you think I was doing?" Like,
that's what
I think he
exactly. It's
has the
like
expression of like, "No shit, I was doing that."
you stopped me from doing that because to their knowledge, what they know is that machine is about to burrow through the cave door, and then the First Order is going to be able to march through and then kill them because they're trapped in
Yeah.
there. Like that is what
My
they know.
problem is, I think it makes sense for Rose to make the choice she made. I think it just like kind of sucks because she
But then
loses
it's
her
like,
sister who made a sacrifice to destroy a ship that ultimately cost so many lives that only did so much good for the resistance.
yeah,
I
but it
think
did
the
do good.
idea
It
of
helped out.
moderately, yeah, I think the whole point of the beginning is Poe makes a choice that I think causes too many sacrifices for the resistance and not enough of a gain in order for that sacrifice to be worth it.
Mm.
Like they take
What was
out
the ship that
they
they
take out the
destroyed in the
dreadnought.
beginning?
The dreadnought.
Dreadnought. Okay,
They take out the
they did.
dreadnought, sure, but also they lose all of their bombing force. All of their bombers are gone.
True, but what would have been the alternative?
Run. The alternative would have been run. That was what Leia said. Is we should have just run.
And then they would have been tracked, and
Yeah,
then
but they didn't know that at that point.
right. So then that again becomes the issue, which I don't know. You live and you learn, I guess. But
Again, they never explain how they put the tether on to be able to track
yeah,
them.
to be
I
able to
wish there was
track,
an answer for that. They
yeah,
just have a way to track them
it's like
through
sure.
light speed.
And then only one ship that was the one that's doing it, and then they're only
Mhm.
tracking the one ship as well. Sure. Um, but anyway, that brings us to Poe in his storyline,
Yep.
and I also think that the events of the movie don't actually do a good enough job of giving him a character arc where the actions he takes at the end of the film are any different than what he would have made them if he still had the mindset that he did at the beginning of the film.
I think his storyline's a little bit better than Poe or than Finn. I
Well,
would just argue that once again the entire like storyline that Finn and Poe and Rose all of them go on because it actually only hurts the resistance. I feel like it is just like a useless storyline.
yeah,
But I think the idea that he is like a cocky fighter pilot in the beginning and he sacrifices their entire bombing force to get a dreadnought, a choice that he makes and disregards his direct orders. Uh, I think that alone is an interesting choice. I think what's tough is watching him make the choice to almost fuck up everything. And I'm glad Holdo takes control and they're able to evacuate, but then the rest of Poe's plan then fucks everything up again. Like if I was Leia or Holdo or something, I would be pissed at Poe.
But
I'd be
here's
like,
the thing: how could you be pissed if, because the whole thing is predicated on the idea that Holdo doesn't tell Poe her plans,
yeah,
despite the fact that her plan requires a lot of logistical maneuverings. You're
yeah,
getting every single person on the ship onto the smaller transports that will then leave. That's not something you just do like 30 minutes before. Like you would have told people in advance. People would be working on that in advance. Why would everyone not be allowed to know that plan? Like,
yeah.
why are you keeping that tight lipped? And then also, this is like someone high ranking. Maybe he got demoted, maybe not. Commander, captain, whoever it is. He's a high ranking, resistance official. Why would you not tell him when he's clearly distraught by not knowing? And then two, probably a little bit loose cannon that you think might do something that would jeopardize the mission. As a
Mhm.
leader, as like Holdo, if you're the one helming the resistance now, you lose nothing by just saying, guess what, we do have a plan. And that plan is we're going to just go as long as we can until we get into range of crate. And then we're going to hop on these transports and leave
Mhm.
because we think, how do they know? I don't know. But we think that our ship is being tracked in light speed, not the smaller ones. So we'll be able to disappear and they'll think they kill all of us once our fuel runs out and then we stall. Just say that. And then Poe will be
Mhm.
like, dope. You know how I know that? Because when Leia tells him the plan, he goes, dope. That's a good plan. Like, there's no reason for Holdo to not tell Poe. She even says at the end, she's like, I like that guy. She's like, got some spunk in him, got some fire. You like this guy? And
Yeah.
you're gonna not tell him just the most basic plan? Again, it's not like they think there's spies on board or something like that. She just doesn't tell him because the plot needs him to be in the dark so that he's going to try and circumvent her leadership, send Poe or send Finn and Rose on this other mission that ends up costing them, of course.
Ultimately, I think it would have been fine had their plan not ended so miserably. I think if like Poe's plan ended up like benefiting them somehow, like even like slightly, I think it would have been a fine plot point for her to like, oh, you're cocky. I'm not going to tell you the plan out of like ego or whatever. I think
Yeah,
it would have been fine. I think the fact that Poe's plan actually like works to the detriment of the resistance in the
yeah.
end is
It's
what
only
makes it so like rough.
a matter of chance that a droid recognizes them on when they're on that ship and then they get
Yeah.
caught. Otherwise, Poe's plan would have worked
Yeah.
because they would have gotten to the thing, shut off the lightspeed tracker, and then they would have been able to zip out of there. So
Yeah.
it's like Poe's plan would have worked if not for them getting caught, which only happens because the plot needs us to have them lose so that the First Order can continue tracking them down to crate. So
Mhm.
it just becomes the thing where it's like either plan only either succeeds or fails insofar as it does because the plot needs it to happen. And then
Yeah.
we are kept out of understanding the plan, as is Poe, because we want to have a surprise or something.
Yeah.
So that's the part that irks me as far as like the plotting of Poe and Holdo's thing. And then again, his character arc. So at the end,
Mhm.
when he's like, hey, Luke is out there facing down the First Order, he says, wait, Finn, hold on. We're not going to go out there and try and save him because I think he's doing this for a reason. I
Mhm.
think his plan is to stall them so that we can find a way out. In fact, there must be a way out because how did he get in here? So once again, because nobody's communicating to each other, Poe has to think that Luke's plan is to stall them when Luke could have said to Poe or to Leia, hey, by the way, I'm going to go out there and stall them. Don't wait up on me. Find a way out. Also, by the way, I'm not actually here, so I don't know if there is a way out. So good luck. Peace out.
Leia definitely knows though. When he takes Leia's hands, they share a look where she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I know you're just a projection."
Yeah. And then even then, so then she could pass on that information or something. Because Poe
Yeah.
goes like, there has to be a way out inside of here because he got in here. But
Mhm.
that's not true. And of course, the crystal critters, are able to find them way, which is great and lucky. But it's like, what if he made a whole plan of let's try and find a way out, and there's just actually no way out because Luke
There
didn't
wasn't.
get in
It
there.
was rocks in the way.
Well, yeah, there
There
were
genuine
rocks.
because Luke didn't get in. There actually was not a way out, and they were lucky
Exactly.
that
And then
Ray
Ray had
was
to come in
there.
and find you. But it's
If Ray
like
wasn't there, they would have been cornered.
Poe's whole like leadership moment is saying like Luke is out there stalling for a
It's also
reason.
telling them to pull off of the suicide run. Technically, I think that's the culmination of his
But again, I don't like
character
that
arc
because then it's like
of saying
you're
let's pull it
already
off.
doing a suicide run. Like, there's no way they would have made it back if they peeled off and then turned around. They would have been picked off. The fighters aren't there anymore because they follow Ray, but then the ATSDs and whatever would have just taken them out
They
because
did
now
make
there's
it back
fewer of them.
though.
There's like three, four. Yeah, they made it back. I'm saying they wouldn't have made it back in real life. So it's like if you already are charging out there with unarmored, rust buckets, you're done. And also, I again ask, did they even have blasters? Did the ships have? How are they going to shoot down
I
the
don't know.
cannon? It had to
I
be a
don't know.
suicide run. They had to be kamikaze. So I just think that's silly because again, I feel like Poe at the beginning of the story would have made the call of, "Oh, Luke is out there stalling, so let's find a way out." Like I don't think that is like a crazy change in mindset. I don't think it would have made a
Mhm.
different choice had that event happened at the beginning of the film.
Look, I'm not saying Ryan Johnson is like a military strategist or anything. I'm just saying I think the movie's good.
What do you think of the Holdo maneuver, the light speed
Um,
kamikaze?
I think it looks awesome.
Dude, in the theater, I
Looks
still
sick.
remember that feeling. I remember the gasps. People would literally like doing that when the sound drops away entirely and then we see the imagery. It's stunning. It's beautiful. It's
Mhm.
gorgeous.
You know what else is stunning? The final, like the entire chambers for Snoke, but then that final fight when the fire is ripping through the red background.
Oh,
A lot of those shots, every shot that takes place in Snoke's chambers looks incredible.
yeah, that is incredible. That whole fight sequence in the Snoke throne room, I was a big fan of. A lot of great stuff in there.
There's a lot of people who are critical of the choreography because they think that there's a lot of stupid stuff going on. And if you slow it down,
There's
sure,
always stuff like
but I'm
that when
not
you have
slowing
like
it down. I'm just watching the damn thing, and I think it
yeah,
looks cool.
I think that's cool too. And some great moments when she like flings the lightsaber and then he
Yeah,
turns it
shoots the
on
guy.
right there.
Yeah,
That's pretty great. I will
it's cool to
say,
see him hold the Anakin lightsaber too.
oh yeah, that is
Very
dope.
cool.
And then we see the lightsaber get destroyed. That like cross cut with the Holdo maneuver, really well done. Um, the Holdo maneuver breaks the lore in so many ways to the point where in Rise of Skywalker they had to be like, "Oh, it's 1 in a million. Don't worry about that." But very cool. Was it worth it for that image? Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe because it looked incredible.
Do you think because the very end is Kylo Ren showdown with Luke Skywalker? More, more. Do you think that they can get away with the plot point of maybe Kylo Ren was just too fueled with anger to notice? But I mean, he just saw the lightsaber get destroyed, and now Luke is standing with it in his hands. Do you think maybe he just didn't notice because he was fueled with rage? But
I
like,
would totally believe that he is seeing
sure,
red like crazy, so I think that would make
sure,
sense.
yeah.
Um,
But you gotta admit, it's like you just saw that lightsaber get destroyed, brother. You broke it yourself. Like,
yeah,
and it's
look,
the same lightsaber. You're not noticing? Come on. It kind of sucks.
I think that's fine. I don't think
I
it
think
matters
he
too
should have
much.
used his green lightsaber. I think it would have been cool.
Yeah, I don't know what the hate is on the green lightsabers in this freaking trilogy.
Yeah,
Where's the love for the
they
green?
don't use it. I love the green lightsabers. I mean, he uses it in the flashback. It's the lightsaber that Ben is associating him with, and if it's a force projection, he can use whatever lightsaber they want. They just
That's
wanted
very true.
they
Yeah, why
wanted
did they have him use the blue lightsaber
I
then?
don't know. They wanted Luke Skywalker to hold his OG lightsaber. That's
It's not
why.
even his. I guess so, but it's like his old
I think
look
him
doesn't
holding the
matter.
green lightsaber would have made more sense and been cooler.
I agree. I bloody agree.
I remember seeing it because I didn't notice it the first time I watched it, but I watched it this time and I was like, didn't they just destroy that? And I was like, oh yeah, he's a projection. But I was like, Kylo Ren saw him destroy it. Like he's the one who destroyed it. Like
Yeah,
you don't
he would have been
notice?
like, "Why are you using? That's not your normal
I
lightsaber."
I
Every
just
time we
broke that. I
train,
just broke that. Every time I've ever seen you with a lightsaber in my entire life, it's been green. Why is it blue now?
when you tried to kill me, it was a green lightsaber. Why do you have a blue one now?
The
So
entire first 20 years of my life knowing you, you've always had a green lightsaber, but now yours is blue?
the only other blue lightsaber I've ever known is the
The
one I
one that I
just
just broke.
destroyed. So yeah,
I've seen that lightsaber before. I've destroyed that lightsaber.
so yeah, I think it's a great moment though. Like all the little touches there about his beard being shorter and the hair being
Yeah, looking
black
like
instead of
young Luke,
gray,
yeah.
and then they do some little focus on the crate, the salt. So when it gets moved away, it's like red underneath, and you see Kylo. That'll happen, but Luke it doesn't because he's not really there. I think that's great. I think it's really well done. As far as some of the other themes that we had there, let the past die, kill it if you have to. Again, I just think it's a very meta line, very interesting. And Adam Driver's delivery is always incredible. Yoda, my small goat, coming back in the original trilogy version too. He's a little bit more
The puppy.
mischievous in this one.
The little goofy guy.
He's goofy, but he has a drop in some more wisdom on us. Failure is the greatest teacher.
Sick.
Or the greatest teacher, failure is. So that was great. And then this other line, we are what they grow beyond, that is the burden of all masters. That's insane. That's incredible.
That's
I had to look. I was like, is this a Rian Johnson original? Like, is that from Star Wars? Because I've heard this quote before since then, but I'm like, this is from The Last Jedi? That's incredible.
Is it really?
So, yeah. As far as I could see. So I'm
it's
like,
a good Rian Johnson line.
I thought that was just like a,
like a general
timer banger.
Yeah.
But yeah, incredible. And then Luke's death. We see him.
It's
twin suns in the distance, exerting all that force, levitating, and then he collapses and disappears.
Hurts.
It hurt. It hurt.
For sure, hurts.
It's very well done. But again, like that whole moment, because again, I was dreading when he was on Crate, and then Kylo was about to go through him, and I was like, no, it's gonna be Obi-Wan all over again. I'm like, don't do it. And then he didn't, and I was like, oh, this is so dope. And then we see him back on his planet where he's doing the astral projection from, and then he dies anyway there. And I'm like, oh,
he used all the last of his abilities.
I thought he was gonna make it through.
Projecting yourself is just too much effort, I guess.
Apparently, it killed Luke. It killed Leia in the next one. I mean, it's tough.
It's a lot of effort. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't wait for episode 10 when everyone's just doing it and it's easy. Like brand new person, new to the Force, is able to just project across the galaxy. But
he's the strongest Jedi.
So the ending, absolute dynamite. That kid that was here, who's still a slave. They let all the horses go
because they had that last shot of the Resistance still being on the Millennium Falcon. It's still alive. The spark is still there. They could have done the right on that, and they don't. They cut to the kid again. This kid that's like in like a shot from earlier in the movie, very barely, briefly in it. Like helps them escape from Canto Bight, and they're redoing the Crate story where they have the little fighters and Luke Skywalker's there. Like the legend lives on in this corner, in like the very fast reaches of the galaxy. The legend of Luke Skywalker and of the Jedi and of the Force, it still lives on. He's walking by, and he force grabs the broom, which is a great touch.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes out and he sweeps. And he looks at the sky, and he has the little rebel ring on his finger. He sees the ship go by, and that's it. And it looks beautiful. And could you imagine if that was the last shot of the Skywalker Saga? That would have been a banger.
Best Star Wars ending? What do you think?
I think it's up there. It's a really, really like heartfelt and touching way to end any Star Wars movie. It's just like
beautiful. It perfectly captures like the message of the saga in general, but in this film as well, like keeping that spark alive.
No matter the story, no matter the differences, no matter like any of it, the lore, the legend doesn't matter. It's like the hope and the wonder, the childlike whimsy.
Mm-hmm.
That is what's so great about Star Wars. And they just hit the nail right on the head with that ending. It's beautiful. Yes.
Literally perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked through Last Jedi. We've given our 2 cents in there. Quite a spirited discussion. Any other final thoughts before we deliver our ratings?
Nope. I liked it.
How many parental reveals out of 5?
4. I'm giving it 4.
Wow.
With all the failings of the plot, like the actual plot itself, I think it's just a good time. And I enjoy it. I think it looks good. Even with Canto Bight not being so great, I like this movie.
There you go. I'm giving it 3.5 parental reveals out of 5.
Fair.
So again, I still think it's really good. I was teetering. I was like 3 or 3.5. I'm like, bro, I love Star Wars. This is great. So I'm giving it 3.5. I do want to shout out the Porgs, though. We didn't mention that.
Dude, I love the Porgs.
Porgs are great. A lot of the comedy with Chewie eating the porg.
Really great.
and his porg buddies being very distraught.
The Porg being on the Millennium Falcon while they're on crate. The Porg just went with him. It's great. Love the
Love
Porgs.
that. All right. Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, 2019. Again,
There's not a lot
20
of good.
they had a divisive
This is hard to be
outing
positive
in
about.
2017. They were like, can we bring it back? Can we pull it off? We had to bring J.J. Abrams back. It was really going to be Colin Trevorrow, and they're like, all right, bring back J.J. Let's get some continuity in here.
Mm-hmm.
Can we make it all come together? And like I said, in the first 30 minutes, you can see just how hard they are trying to backtrack on The Last Jedi to salvage, the goodwill of anyone who really hated The Last Jedi and was like, oh, it killed my childhood.
Yeah.
But what if we offer you, and I wrote down a list in the first 30 minutes of the things that they throw at you. It's like, what if we offer you Mustafar, Palpatine, saying quotes from, the prequels, the whole, some consider to be unnatural, Darth Vader's voice, Rey training very hard so that she can beat the Mary Sue allegations, Rey and Poe interacting for the first time. Actually, they have one conversation, Last Jedi.
They say nice to
actually
meet you at the very end of The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Which I think is funny, which they could have done in The Force Awakens. I really don't know why they didn't do that.
Yeah.
The Knights of Ren being name dropped and then brought back around because they did not exist in the previous film. And then Lando Calrissian appearing. So in the first 30 minutes, that was all the stuff that they threw at you. Among, Leia obviously is there and everything. But yeah, they tried really hard to backtrack, and they have a lot of other shenanigans as well sprinkled throughout the film that they incorporate. But
yeah,
it's just so obvious that they're like
we're gonna appeal to everything you need.
Yeah, and trying to be like, let's forget about that. Oh, we're sorry about this. Here, just look at this instead. Or oh, what if we give you this? And yeah, it just doesn't work. It just feels so stupid. And we got to talk about the overall Palpatine. Somehow Palpatine has returned. What were they thinking,
bro?
What were they thinking?
I can picture it in my head. I can picture J.J. Abrams' interview from 2019 saying where they announced that Palpatine's coming back, and he's saying Palpatine was always the biggest villain. It seems only right that he comes back for the finale, that he be the ultimate villain, because it was always Palpatine. And I remember thinking, but he's dead. He died. What's happening here? Why are you doing this? Do you think there was ever a reality where they could bring back Palpatine in a way that didn't feel forced?
Nope.
Doesn't exist.
And the reason why, plot-wise, sure, I'm sure you could. Palpatine,
they kind of already do. Yeah,
he would do clone stuff. They're trying to touch on that, like Ahsoka and everything.
They kind of already do bring it back, sure.
And he did force transmission for his consciousness. Whatever. Mm-hmm. Plot-wise, sure, I'm sure you can make it make sense. But the whole freaking point of the original trilogy, and then the prequels as well, Anakin is the chosen one. He's going to bring balance to the Force. He fell to the dark side, killed all the Jedi, blah, blah, blah. But Luke brings him back in Return of the Jedi. And it is that connection with his son, it is the love for his son, that he throws Darth Sidious over the freaking edge and kills him. And then the Death Star blows up. So he dies twice, Sidious. He falls down that shaft, and then he also gets blown up when the entire Death Star gets destroyed. The whole freaking point is that Anakin was able to make right all the wrong that he did in the past, 18, 20 years of his life. He's able to defeat Palpatine, save his son, and then he goes out like that. And then he's brought back to the light.
Yep.
If Palpatine comes back,
and it continues to wreak havoc,
all of that was for nothing. Anakin didn't win. His sacrifice, him going against Darth Sidious, obviously still saves Luke, but it didn't really have an effect. And also Luke is dead before Palpatine's dead. He's also dead. It's like, you can't have in each of these movies, you undo everything that everyone did in the original trilogy. The Empire's destroyed. Actually, the First Order's back and destroys the entire Republic. And now the Resistance is the rebellion again. Okay. Luke, the guy who saves Darth Vader by believing in him and bringing him back to light. Oh, actually, he was gone because he was unable to stop Kylo from going to the dark side. And and doesn't believe that he can bring back from the light. So now he's gone for good. But then he comes back, which is great. But then he sacrifices himself, and Palpatine, the guy that was supposed to be dead, 30 plus years ago, is now back. So Anakin didn't beat him. Luke didn't beat him.
Somehow he's returned.
Leia also dies before Palpatine dies. Like, what? And he also had kids, and then those kids had a kid.
He
And
outlives
somehow
everybody.
his direct kid doesn't have crazy force powers, but the grandkid does. And then he's also constantly trying to get Kylo to kill her, but actually wanted her to come to be the Empress, wants her to strike him down, but then actually has the power to force drain. So why wouldn't he just do that in the first place so he can get back all his power and a rule over everything? Why wasn't he just acting as Snoke? Why would he have one of his clones? Or was that a whole thing? Because he said, I am every voice in your head. So it seems like he was controlling Snoke. But I thought Snoke was supposed to be like a clone that went rogue.
Something like that.
So one of them, again.
Snoke's there. Because I forget,
5,
isn't there a giant fake Snoke in one of the tubes or something on Exegol? Am I wrong about that?
Something like that. Because I think those are the clones. Like his clones. Yeah. And one of them ended up being Snoke. But so was Snoke a vessel that he was just like animating? Or was Snoke a conscious sentient being that separated from?
I will say there are like lines that Snoke has, especially in The Force Awakens, that kind of do harken back. He says, fulfill your destiny at some point.
He does do that, yeah.
He harkens back to the Emperor a lot, which if you wanted, like, I guess it would make sense that he's actually just a puppet for the Emperor. But I just don't want the Emperor to come back. I didn't even really like Snoke in the first place that much because I thought he was too much like the Emperor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In hindsight, again, I think it's great to kill Snoke there, but then it leaves you with no... because that's why it's at odds. Like, I think Rian Johnson wanted Kylo to stay on the dark side. I think J.J. Abrams, although maybe not, because he really leaned into the Rey and Kylo connection, which was phenomenal in The Last Jedi. We didn't really talk about that.
We didn't even talk about that. I love that. I love when they have their little moments together and they have the stuff that, like, I like that J.J. Abrams kept that. Like, the connection they have and the physical crossover that they have. That's how he discovers. That's a really good thing that happens in this movie is when he figures out where Rey is when the Darth Vader helmet lands on the ground. I thought that was sick.
Yeah, that was really dope. So I think they just had totally different visions for what they wanted to do. I think J.J. Abrams was probably like, Snoke is going to be our big bad. I don't know if he knew what he wanted Snoke to be, but he was like, this will be our big bad. And then Rian Johnson's like, no, we're going to kill him off. But then if you do that, then you need Kylo to actually be the big bad. But I think
J.J. Abrams did not want Kylo to be the big bad. He wanted him to come back.
J.J. Abrams, or all the, like, especially post The Last Jedi, everyone's like, oh, they're shipping Kylo and Rey together. Like, they actually really good chemistry. So maybe they, end up together and he needs to come back from the dark side in order to make that happen. And people want to root, for him to be on the light side. So you need him to have a big bad. So who's it going to be? If Snoke is gone, then who's going to be the big bad that we can introduce in our final film? We can't. So let's just go back and have Palpatine somehow return. It's just unfortunate.
Fulfill your destiny.
And join the dark side of the Force. He's so good. That's the thing, though.
He's a great villain.
It's an iconic villain. Like, that voice is incredible.
I think he's just like the weakest he's ever been in this movie.
Yeah.
He's just sitting in a chair the entire time. He does not get up out of that chair.
Yeah. So it's rough. It's rough to do that, but I do still love...
Bring the girl.
I love the connection between Rey and Kylo.
It's great.
I do think this is very well done, very inventive. There's some other things, though, that they introduced for the lore that I think is, again, silly and breaks everything. The light speed skipping. What are we doing?
What is that?
The Force healing, which I think has been established in, like, Legends material before, but it's kind of like the first time we've seen it.
I think it's fine.
I guess she picked it up, sure, whatever. And they set it up, with that snake creature, the serpent, and then they do it later.
I think it's fine.
What are we doing with the Death Star tech, though?
Dude,
made a mistake and then times it by 100. He's like, every Star Destroyer has the capability to destroy a planet. Like, what? What is going on?
Why didn't they just do that? It seems so much easier than building a Death Star.
Yeah. It's like, we could just drive the ship around and still destroy the whole planet. very silly. And then again, the force drain stuff where he's like sucking out the life force of them. Okay, sure. This is where I think talk about you want to talk about the Force Awakens being derivative. This is just the same plot of they're looking for a map.
Yeah.
We need to find a map to Luke. Okay, now we need to
Yeah.
find a map to Sidious.
Yeah.
Bruh, bruh. What do we
Rough.
do? I did think Finn, Ray, and Poe together at that festival. There's like that little moment where all the aliens are in their robes and they're like bumping
I
to
thought
the
the festival
music.
was cool. Yeah.
I thought that was fun. I'm like,
I like
that's
when they were doing the
future
puppet
Star
show and
Wars.
she's like looking at the kids and then she has like a conversation with the one lady who's like a little alien and she asks what her full family name is. She says, I'm just Ray.
Yeah, I
You know,
thought
I
that
think
was
it's good
yeah,
setup.
it was
I
very
like
nice.
Lando showing up. I just wish Lando had a bigger role.
Yeah, but that was dope. Love Lando.
I love his opening line too of a Wookiee stands out in the crowd. I love
He's
that.
that is great. It's very
Billy D.
Lando.
Williams
You can
is the
totally pull it.
coolest motherfucker in the on the planet.
I think about the humor
Always
there was
has
good too,
been.
because you do see Poe is like, we need to not stick out in the crowd, and then Chewie has to duck
He has to
down,
duck
run
down,
out
yeah.
of. So that's great. Then they have a little sequence afterwards where the stormtroopers have jetpacks, meaning they can
They fly
fly.
now. They fly now.
So funny.
Iconic. Iconic in the trailer, iconic in the movie, iconic all over.
It is. That's one of those things because again, there's like the lines that are legitimately banger that become iconic. Again, the Force Awakens is Kylo's. I know what I need to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
just that's
great.
great. It's incredible. But they fly now again is one that's ironic. Like the
Dude.
sand, it's coarse and rough and gets everywhere. It becomes a meme phrase that everyone loves.
Yeah.
This is like that meme phrase for this movie.
They fly
Ironically,
now.
I love it. It's they fly now. They fly
They fly
now.
now. It's just so
That's
bad.
one of those in the next movie. Like I want to call back to it because it's just so it's taken a life of its own, but so silly. And again, it's good. They've always flown. Like what are we doing? But so silly. And then we have that whole confrontation in the desert. Chewie dies, except he doesn't. What is
Awful.
this? For 2 minutes,
Awful.
we believe he's dead, and it's like,
They do the Raiders of the Lost Ark caravan bait and switch.
hmm
But it's worse than Raiders of the Lost Ark. 'Cause at least in Raiders of the Lost Ark, we can sit with it with Indy for a while, and it like motivates his character to do things, like losing Marion. In this one, we find out immediately that Chewbacca's alive.
yeah,
Immediately.
right away.
It's just so dumb.
And it's funny,
Also, the
the tri.
second that Rey uses Force Lightning, we know exactly who she is. The only fucking character that uses Force Lightning in any of these movies is Sidious.
Yeah,
It's
very
fucking
true.
stupid.
Really true. Which we should, more characters need to bust out some Force lightning. It
Yeah.
can't just be in Palpatine's genes, okay?
Yeah.
Other people need to be able to launch that.
Yeah.
Have the Sith language stuff. It's just tough because again, it's the 2 year difference. And originally I was like, again, 2 years is so quick. It should have been the 3 years, which is what it was in the original trilogy and in the
Mhm.
prequels. It worked out because otherwise the pandemic would have totally screwed up.
Yeah, dude. It
the
would have cut right into it.
1990s. But
Hey,
the
maybe
two
that would have
years
helped. Maybe
is
you
tough.
give it a little bit of time.
Maybe,
With the
yeah, maybe it would have helped.
COVID helps them. It helped with Barry. Barry got rewritten. All of season 4 got rewritten because they had the time to
If
rewrite
it
it,
came
and it ended
out,
up being great.
it would have came out originally 2021, which
Yeah,
maybe instead of No Way Home in that December slot, because that made $1.9 billion, so it
yeah,
would have been fine by December 2021. Because yeah, they clearly were responding to The Last Jedi with how much is in here. So they're writing post 2017. So they're in 2018 still writing.
yeah,
And then they need to shoot it and then get all the special effects done, which again, it's a
yeah.
miracle
It's a
how this
crunch.
stuff got made and looks this good.
Yeah,
Um,
there's only a few points where this and the Last Jedi look kind of rough.
yeah.
For the most part, they still look pretty good.
So the turnaround on this is
The
insane.
sets and everything too, they're still
Yeah,
banging
it looks
in both of
beautiful.
those movies. Yeah, for
Um,
the tight turnaround is awesome.
so it just very much shows in the writing where they're like hand waving everything away. Like the whole idea of 3PO knowing the language but not being allowed to speak it, and they're like, okay, what if we go take him to someone that can just shut him off and like bypass it? It's just so like nonsensical. And then we're supposed to have a moment where he's like, I'm looking at my friends one last time. It's like, dude, you've had your memory wiped how many times now? Like, who cares at this point? You don't even know these people really. And
I know,
then
right?
number two, why couldn't they just like take his memory and store it somewhere? Like they mentioned it somewhere about like R2,
Put
but
it.
it's
He
like
said put in
put
R
him
two,
in,
but R2 has unreliable memory holding. But was that the
put him
only
in somewhere
option?
else. And then it's also
Put him in
R2.
BB-8.
R2, you mean the guy who was given
The
Leia's
Death Star
message to
plans.
Obi-Wan in the very beginning? You like that R2, the one that
The one who's
famously held on to the
notoriously
information.
great at holding on to memories.
Yeah, our goat at holding and passing on information.
The
So
best robot in the entire series. You're shitting on him.
the guy that also had all of Luke's map, except for the one piece that BB-8 was able to bring him, but he
It's
also
just
was
the
holding on all
Chewbacca
that.
bait and switch, but for C3PO. It's the same fucking thing of
Because he
like
gets
saying goodbye to a character.
his memory back at the end
Yeah.
anyway from R2. So it's like, what?
They're just faking emotional moments to make you try and feel something, bro. Because
And it's like,
they've run out of OG characters. They
yeah,
killed off Han and Luke. Carrie Fisher has passed away, and they're just using recycled footage, which mostly works, but sometimes comes off a little rough.
yeah,
And so they have a very few OG characters left to kind of do the kill off with for the emotional moment,
exactly.
and
But it's like you don't
they don't
need
even do it.
to do these. You don't kill him off, and you don't need to. Like, why did we even try this? Um, so yeah, all of that is very, very silly. I will say, Babu Frick,
Babu Freak.
my small goat. Hey, hey, he's so good.
Hey, I love Babu Freak.
Yeah, he's incredible. Love that guy.
Yep,
Um, the plot point with the remains of the Death Star, where the ancient
awful.
Sith dagger, somehow lines up perfectly with one portion of the Death Star from one vantage point, and then there's like the little compass, halfway compass that
Hang on,
has
hang on,
pointing to
hang on.
something.
Did they say it's an ancient Sith dagger? Or did they just say it's a Sith dagger with ancient writing on it, like an ancient language? It could be a modern dagger that they wrote ancient writing on. So I'll push back on that one small plot point.
Okay.
But you're telling me
Or
they happened to walk up to the perfect spot to be able to line it up perfectly to be able to get into the Death Star?
then I
Nah.
will say, for what reason would they write ancient Sith scrawl onto a dagger?
To hide the secret better, so the only Sith you could make the
But
thing is
why? The
you
only
could
people that
make
need to know it are, I guess they gave it to that one Ochi guy, and that's like why they do
yeah
it. But he should already know where Exegol is, and if he doesn't, again, why would
yeah.
you
Why does there need to
give
be a
him those?
second map?
If you're already giving him like information to something, why not just give him information directly to where you are instead of
Why does there
saying
need to be
follow
a
this, to
second
follow
map,
that, to
and
follow that?
why does it necessarily have to be on the remains of the Death Star?
Yeah, because they're
Yeah,
saying because it was already in the Death Star, or someone like went there later and planted it there. Because one was on Mustafar, so that was Vader's base, and then one was on Death Star in his
which I
chambers,
guess was
Emperor's
Palpatine's
chambers.
base.
Yeah,
So maybe they both had ways to get to Exegol, I guess.
so that makes sense. But it's like so the Exegol thing was always like a
But why would
fallback
you
plan,
leave
or like
clues to
what's the
find it? Why wouldn't you just take it and destroy it in the first place? Why wouldn't you just leave one for Kylo Ren to find and just
yeah,
destroy the other one?
or just give Kylo the coordinates yourself. Like, what do we do?
Yeah, if you are the voice of Palpatine, and like that's what people have heard is they picked up your voice across the galaxy somehow. Why wouldn't you just tell Kylo Ren where to find you? Say, hey, buddy, you can come
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Or
It's like
to the same point, same thing with
the
the
entire plot of the
Ochi
movie
guy.
is a hunt to find Exegol, and it's pointless. The whole thing is pointless.
Yeah, because at the end, Palpatine's like, "All right, we're taking the show on the road," and he's like, "Let him know where we're at." So he gives it up anyway. He's like, "I want her to find me." It's like, what's going
Yeah.
on? Also, if
Why
his
did we
whole,
even have the map?
which we don't even know how true it is, because he's always doing that thing of like, kill your father, and then Luke will become my apprentice or whatever. And he's like,
Fulfill
strike me
your
down. Yeah,
destiny.
he just wants to goad people into like trying to kill him for whatever reason. But
He's a rage baiter.
he is, he really is. And it works so well in Return of the Jedi. If I were
Yeah,
Luke,
it
I'm
does.
striking. I'm doing the same thing. So he's really good at it. But in this case, he's like, Ray, strike me down, and you'll become the Empress. It's like, if you wanted that all this time, then bruh, you could have reached out to her if you're facilitating this force connection between her and Kylo. It's just all, none of it makes sense, and it's just so
Terrible.
we're just hand waving it all away. I think Finn and Poe in this don't really have a character arc, but they're still charismatic and fun. Got some good gags. I like the flashlight gag that Poe does when they're in that like place with the serpent after they
Hmm.
fall through. I think
Yeah.
Poe's whole thing of like Ray, I got to tell you something, and it's that he's force sensitive, I guess, and it's like why? Why is he force sensitive? Why did we throw that in there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they had nowhere else to go with this character. And he never even
They
tells her.
yeah, they teased Finn being a Jedi and then didn't actually give him a moment to do it.
Yeah,
You know,
which
just
is
a
fine
waste
if
of
he's
Finn's
not a
character.
Jedi. Like I like the fact that it's like he's just using a weapon that's available to him, the lightsaber.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be a Jedi for that. That's fine. Why does he now need to be force sensitive in the final one? And he doesn't even have a moment with Rey where he says, "I'm force sensitive." But they all but confirm it, where he's able to feel everything left, right, and center. And he's like, "Oh, a feeling. I have a feeling." It's like, okay, we get it, boy. You have the force. But why? Why couldn't they have given him a character arc instead? One that's actually interesting. Because what is him? He doesn't even use the force. He just feels it. He has it, but he doesn't use it for anything. Make him do something with it. Have him save somebody with it. Have him save Ray with it. Do something. Why would you have him like have the secret? Oh, I have the secret, and then not actually be able to be a Jedi? Like have him do
Mhm.
anything. Why would they waste Finn? Man, it sucks. I feel so bad for John Boyega.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Oscar Isaac. God, what could have been?
What could have been?
It's just so sad. Uh, Kylo versus Ray on the Death Star remains.
Looks
Dope
cool.
location. Once
Yeah.
again, I think very, very compelling. The way that
Once
we're
again, they've relegated
getting at
Finn to
setting.
being the guy just screaming Ray's name.
Yes,
Ray!
I thought he got past that in the
Ray!
Last Jedi, but he's like Ray, and she's the girl with him is like, bruh, like we can't get there. Maybe he could get there if he had,
We would not
forced
affect that
something.
fight even slightly. We would have they're leagues above us. We are useless.
Um, but yeah, like even there, like I'm gonna do something with, just something with the Force, but they don't,
Yeah.
alas. But I do think it was well done. Leia reaches out to Ben. Ben's like, "Oh snap, Mama," and then he gets stabbed, and then
Gets
Ray is
got in
all
the gut.
shook. Here's the thing, though. I watched this last night. I forgot why does Ray like take off? She's upset that she like almost killed Kylo and was
Well, she
giving
heals
into her
him.
rage. She heals him,
Yeah.
and then
And
she like
then
bows out. She's
yeah,
like,
she's like cuz the whole thing is she's worried about she's already been told that she's a Palpatine. She's worried
"Yep."
about going to the dark side. She confronts the evil hot version of herself. Battles that
With the
just to fight Kylo
the
Ren.
saber too.
Goes too aggressive and almost kills him, heals him, and then decides to just abandon the fight and let him fight another day for whatever reason, and just leaves.
Yeah,
And
I'm like,
then
why?
he
Why?
gets
Why did that happen?
well. What else is she gonna do? I guess I don't know. Cripple him, take him prisoner. I don't know.
No, just be like, hey,
Let's chat.
uh,
Let's talk.
yeah, kind of, yeah. It's just like, so what's
Let's
going on
rap
in
a
your
little bit.
day? What's going on?
But then isn't
Or
this the point where Kylo kind of has a change of heart because he sees
it
Han
is
Solo?
he
Yeah,
has a change of heart. So she
he throws the
leaves.
lightsaber away.
She doesn't say bye to Finn, my poor dude. Um, doesn't say
Friend
anything
zoned,
to anyone else. He did get friends. This is
big
like
time friend
terrible.
zone.
And they
Yeah,
tried. They were like, we need to give both Finn and Poe love interests.
yeah.
People will otherwise think they're together. So like, cancel that.
They should have been.
Disney,
I think
Disney
they
is
would have
not
been a
ready for
cute
that
couple.
yet.
I think Finn
They
and Poe would have been a great couple.
they had great chemistry,
They
but
had
they're like, get
great
rid of that.
chemistry.
So we gave them both love interests. I do really like Jana, like the
Jan is cool. I like the
uh,
idea of him connecting with other First Order deserters.
yeah. So I do like that component. I think her look is really cool too. Like I
Yeah,
don't know what kind of like the headband or
I
the
love
armband thing
Naomi
that she
Aki.
had, but
She's awesome.
she's great. I want to see more of her in this franchise.
I'm
I hope
saying.
they bring her back. So I do like them, but I'm just like it's just so tough because you see the original trilogy. This man was doing anything. He was making up lies. He's like, yeah, I know Star Killer Base. He did not. He just wanted to go save Ray. Like that man loved Ray. They knew each other for like 12 hours, maybe not even before he's doing
He
all
was
that.
willing to do anything for her,
He was
bro.
down bad for Ray.
Dude saw one girl and was like, "I'll die for you."
One girl, okay,
One girl who
smacked him
was
up, beat him
cool.
around a couple times. He held her hand twice and said, "This is my one and only." So,
He's just like me for real.
hey, I agree. Yeah, I see it. I'm like, me too. I'll go to Star Killer Base and try and save Ray, and then she'll be the one doing all the work. But hey,
Yeah.
great stuff. So here he is once again, screaming after Ray, and then she's like,
Hooray!
"Peace out." Doesn't even say anything. Um, So that part doesn't really make sense. But then Rey is now on Octo again, gets a visit from Luke as a Force ghost. We have another lightsaber thing. She tries to throw it into the fire, and then you see a Force ghost hand come out and catch the lightsaber. And he does a tongue-in-cheek little, that's no way to treat a weapon of a Jedi. So very funny there.
A laser sword.
Indeed, yeah, he dropped a laser sword in Last Jedi. People didn't like that either.
No, they didn't.
And so yeah, so then they have a little chat, a little pep talk.
Hmm.
This one didn't really work for me. Again, it was just kind of like we need to get her back in the action somehow, and we also want to have Luke come back, and he needs to give pep talk. So
Hmm.
have her go all the way there, and then he'll just say, "Don't do what I did. Leia knew you were Palpatine, but still decided to train you anyway. Also, here's a lightsaber that she has that, for whatever reason, she decided to leave behind and say, someone will pick this up one day. So we'll give it to you because we totally don't just need two lightsabers to exist, since Kylo Ren just threw his lightsaber away. And we need both of you to have a lightsaber in the final battle. But totally, Leia had this lightsaber and it's very purposeful and meant for you. So
Yep.
they do that. Where's Luke's lightsaber, by the way? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But
The one that got destroyed?
the green one.
Oh, the green one. No idea. Maybe he threw that one away immediately.
He got to Octo and said, yeah, get rid of it. Poured food. So yeah, we have all that. Oh, Kylo and Han. Their discussion.
That was nice.
That was great.
It was nice to see Harrison Ford come back. I didn't think he would.
Yeah, I think he knew, with Carrie Fisher being gone, he's like, okay, let me step in here.
Yeah,
which is great.
That's fair.
And I thought it was beautiful. Again, Kylo repeating the thing of, I know what I have to do. I don't know if I have the strength to do it. But now it's like reverse because he wants to do something, come to the light fully. And then Han is like, you do have the strength. And then Kylo goes like, Dad. And then Han says, I know. That's beautiful. Like, that is pitch perfect stuff.
Yeah.
Just so meaningful for, people in the know with Star Wars and everything. Like, it hits.
That's a good callback.
What a nice connection. So yeah. All right, the final battle. Your thoughts?
It's just a smorgasbord, bro. They're trying to make it feel like this is everybody from everything coming together for one last fight. And I'm not gonna lie to you, there's no way the Resistance wins this one. They have 1,000 Star Destroyers, each with the ability to destroy a planet, filled with TIE fighters. I don't care if you're a ragtag underdog. You're not winning this without plot armor. And that's just what they have. There's just no other explanation. There's some cool visuals, and the bass drop goes hard. But that's it.
I remember watching this. So have you seen this again since it came out in theaters, Rise of Skywalker?
I rewatched all of them, and we started this discussion earlier, like 3 hours ago, and at that point I thought I had rewatched all of it, and then I remembered halfway through talking that I didn't finish The Rise of Skywalker earlier today. I thought I did, but I had to go and leave and do some errands, and so I left right after the Kylo Ren Han talk. Like right after that scene, I paused it, I left, I came back, I forgot I was watching Rise of Skywalker for this episode. I told myself that I had finished it. I went, wow, I can't believe I watched all of those. And then just started the discussion and went, wait, I didn't finish Rise of Skywalker. So I have not seen the final battle. I've seen most of the Rise of Skywalker earlier today.
That's hilarious. Didn't finish it. Wow. That's an indictment on the film, if there ever was one.
I thought I had finished it. I forgot that there was more.
Anyway, my first time rewatching it since watching it the very first time was last night. But since day one in theaters, that bass boosted Force lightning,
it's sick.
I laughed out loud watching that because
me too.
Again, the bass boosting is just for our generation. It's just so it's memeified to have the bass boost, and they went full force in the theater, bro. Having all that,
dude, it was awesome.
All encompassing,
so funny.
So that's also one of those where I'm like, this is like on an objective is bad because it takes you out of the movie. It's stupid, but ironically, love it. Like, this is amazing. So
it's such a bold choice.
So I remember that. It's just so ridiculous. But I do think the final battle has some great imagery. Again, that's one thing with all the sequels. Like, they look stunning. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they do.
The Exegol planet with all the lightning and whatnot looks great.
Looks pretty
The
good. Yeah.
silhouettes of the 1,000 Star Destroyers just like ominously hanging in the sky. That's incredible.
Yeah.
The horses that are riding along the sides of the Star Destroyers.
Cool.
Why not? Awesome.
Sure. I don't fucking
Um,
care at this point.
yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. It's just one of those like, sure, yeah. So all of that I think is incredible.
Velociraptors in space.
Dude, it should happen. I'm telling you, it'll be great. The thing that I really like, and I'm sad, well, you kind of saw some of it, but the element that I was missing with a lot of stuff, again, they like made them the underdogs again. They're the resistance, they're the rebellion, but we don't see a lot of their, like, again, like propping up the cause and why this is necessary and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Poe and Zuri, what's her name? The lady that he's with
You
on that one
sure?
planet.
Yeah. Carrie Russell? Let's call her Carrie Russell. It's Carrie Russell.
So they have a conversation, and he's feeling a little bit, he's not very optimistic at this point. And
Yeah.
so she gives him a little pep talk. It's like, hey, the First Order wins by making us think that we're alone, but there's more of us than them, right? Like there's more of us out there. And then Lando, when he comes and all the galaxy, they send out a distress call and they're like, everyone, please come and help. And everyone does show up. And Lando's like, there's more of us, Poe. There's more of us. And then somewhere else, uh, Poe had said, like when they were planning this, they're like, we're going to put out the distress call and people will show up. We have friends out there. And I was like, oh, they have friends everywhere, huh? So I like that there was some threads of Andor in there, of like just that phrase there of like they win by making us think that we're alone. Like that's like Andor, that's Nemec coded right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that part of it. And then I
Sure.
do really like, even though again the logistics of a bunch of like individual civilian class fighters, starfighters, starships traveling through space to get to Exegol, which, as we see from Kylo and Rey, it's not an easy trip. Okay, that's some tough navigation is needed
Yeah.
there, but a bunch of random fighters all throughout the galaxy are able to show up there. Logistically, very
Yeah, who's
dubious,
organizing that?
but as far as like the thematics of it, of like the whole galaxy is now standing up to face down this threat. I'm like, that's kind of beautiful. It's kind of poetic. I like that. Um, Different ways it could have been executed better, but the image of like the Millennium Falcon showing up and then all these other ships behind it, I'm like, that's pretty incredible. So I did like that stuff. I think Ray and Kylo, like Ray and Ben, when he's there and he's surrounded by the Knights of Ren, and then she is like about to do the whole strike down the Sidious thing, but then they have the Force connection. They like sense that each other is there, and then he or she puts the saber behind her and then pulls it out and nothing's there. They do a little magic trick and then it's
Mm,
actually in his hands and he pulls it
sick.
out and then he does a little like ha, type of thing. Um, that is so dope. Like that
Yeah.
whole low force connection thing um, continuously surprised me. I always liked it, when I first saw it, but I'm amazed at how well they were able to execute it here.
Yeah.
Like they do such a good job of having Ray and Ben be able to like communicate and have discussions, but then the way that they're able to have material transfer between them and how objects like that's just awesome. So great job there. How it all ends, I have no clue what the logic is. She's like, be with me. Everyone starts pep talk. We hear Qui-Gon, we hear Obi-Wan, we hear Ben, we hear Yoda, we hear Luke, we hear Ahsoka, we hear all this stuff. Mace Windu. And then she gets up, has her lightsaber, Leia's lightsaber. Sidious tries to hit her with Force Lightning. She's blocking it. They have some words, whatever. And then she goes, or he's like, I'm all the Sith and you're nothing. And Jedi's about to be destroyed. And she's like, actually, I'm all the Jedi. And then pulls out Luke's lightsaber, hits the X, and then is able to somehow now transfer all of that Force Lightning back onto Darth Sidious. He never learned from Mace Windu, right? So now he's getting blasted and keeps taking it,
Yep.
and then gets
Getting fried.
evaporated. He gets completely destroyed, um, and so I'm just like, why? Why her bringing up the other lightsaber now is able to like repel all of that lightning?
Twice
And
the strength, bro.
yeah, I don't think that's how that works. And then Ray dies afterwards, Why did she die? Like, why did that exert all of her energy? No clue. But she's dead. Kylo comes
They're just making
over.
up Force rules, bro.
Ben resurrects Rey. They're both alive, and then they smooch. They get a kiss in there. What'd you think of that
I
when you
mean,
first saw
I
it?
dude knew it was coming. Knew it was
You knew
coming.
it was coming.
Didn't want it to happen. Knew it was coming. Come on.
Again, see, because from the first movie, I was like, I'm with Finn.
Yeah,
Okay,
100%.
I am Finn, loving Rey, and I want Finn to be with Rey. And then they get sidelined. Their friendship, very much becomes a friend zone friendship. And then they put more into Ben and Rey, which is great. Like they do have great scenes together, all that stuff. It just feels really weird when they like do this. They have that one kiss, and then he freaking dies right away. Disappears. He's gone
Yeah.
because he gave all of his life to her apparently. So that's that, I guess. And then
Yep.
we have our ending. Rey goes to Tatooine and buries the lightsabers, and then gets asked who she is, and she responds, Rey Skywalker. First of all, why did she go to Tatooine to bury the lightsabers? Why is she burying them in the first place at all? Number one.
I don't know. Starts
Number
on
two,
Tatooine, ended on Tatooine. I don't know.
yeah, that's right. Why go to Tatooine? All the Skywalkers, every single one of them, hate Tatooine. They've all had bad experiences there.
They were
Terrible.
slaves there. They were poor farmers.
Anakin was a
The
slave.
entire
Mother
point is
dies.
wanting to leave Tatooine. It was their Jakku. It was like if Rey's fake ancestor took her lightsaber and buried it in Jakku.
Yeah, and like, yeah, Anakin had a terrible experience. Luke had a terrible experience. Family dies. He wants to leave. He's gone. Leia was a freaking slave to Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine. Like, this is, no one had a good time there. Why would you go in and bury those lightsabers?
Mm-hmm.
And then she takes on the name Rey Skywalker, which, just for the name, they're like trying to fit that in there. They're calling it Skywalker Saga. She could just been Rey.
Stolen valor.
The whole idea of like, don't be afraid of who you are. She could just be Rey. I mean, I guess it's sweet if
I think the
Luke and
lesson
Leia
should be
gave her
you do
the,
not want to be a Skywalker. I feel like they've done more harm than good in the galaxy.
yeah, Anakin
Skywalkers have
directly,
done some Anakin,
by
Ben
omission.
Solo. I feel like the Skywalkers have done some pretty hefty damage.
So yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough. But yeah, so she's Rey Skywalker, and then that wraps up that final film. So
Yeah, fucking bad, dude.
yeah, not
Really
very
bad.
good. Not very good at
I
all.
was gonna try and be positive, and you just can't. It's by and large, probably the worst Star Wars movie, live action.
Yeah, I would say so. Again, when we do the prequels, I'll be curious to see. But I'll tell you what, those prequels, they have Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, dude, they do
Yeah,
have
Ewan
Obi-Wan
McGregor.
Kenobi. Where the Ewan McGregor's great.
So that alone, I think, is gonna be able to put it up
You were
top.
the chosen one.
Oh, so good. Again, Revenge of the Sith, legitimately, actually good. But then the other ones do, maybe nostalgia kicks in for some of them. Pod racing, it's dope. Who didn't want to
Love the
do pod
Potters.
racing when you were
Sebulba.
watching
Love
that as a kid?
Sebulba.
So, yeah, but Rise Skywalker, again, it's just, it was an identity crisis. They didn't have enough time to be able to find out how to, like, properly end everything. So they had to fast track it. They had to bring Palpatine back because there was just no communication and no coordination between J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson. And they're trying to plan out the trilogy originally.
I wonder
They
what
didn't plan it.
they
So,
leaked the original script, didn't they, for the third one for
yeah,
episode
the
9?
Duel of the Fates
Duel of the
is what they
Fates.
were going
Did
to
you ever
call it.
read it?
I never read it. Maybe one day I'll read it or anything, but people are like, "Oh my god, it's like so much better." I'm not convinced. I actually don't. I think it's cope. I think people are just saying
Probably
that
not.
because they're hating on it.
Yeah,
They're hating on
but I
Rise of
mean,
Skywalker, and then they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, this one would be way better." I'm like, I haven't read it yet, but I'll make that decision, I guess, when I read it. But I'm not that convinced that it's like, oh, this masterpiece thing that they chose not to do.
Hmm.
If they're that good, they probably would have went down that route. But
Yeah.
any other final thoughts on Rise of Skywalker?
Hated it. Hated it.
Well,
Still hate it. Hate it.
tragic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how many Sith holocrons out of 5 are you
One.
giving this? 1?
Giving it 1.
That's intense, man. That's crazy.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you turn your brain off, it's like a fine movie. If you really dig deep into, Star Wars, then it breaks a lot of lore. It's a lot of silly stuff, but again, on a moment to moment level, I think it's decent. Plotting quite terrible. A lot of characters that we love don't get their due. Action still kind of decent, but some really solid moments.
What'd you give it?
I
What'd you give it, bruh?
give it two Sith holocrons out of five.
All right, all right, a little bit higher, a little bit higher.
Yeah, again, it's Star Wars. I love Star Wars. There's always gonna be some great things in there. In this one, I
Sure.
think it's no exception, but it definitely is a disappointing way to round out this trilogy. So my question to you is: are you looking forward to an episode 10? Do you think they can even do an episode 10?
No, and I
No.
don't think they should. I think it's done.
Mm,
I think if they do a Ray movie, which they're planning, or a Ray trilogy, I think it should be its own separate thing. I don't think it should be a continuation of the Skywalker saga. I think it would be fun to visit these characters again a long time in the future in separate projects. I think Skywalker Saga alone, because the Skywalkers are actually just dead, like the lineage is ended in the lore, and I wouldn't consider Rey a Skywalker really. I think over. I think it's done. I think we've closed it out. I'm satisfied. I don't need any more. I would love to see Poe and Finn and Rey again in the future, a long time down the road, in their own independent projects. I think tying it to the Skywalker saga puts too much pressure. And I think they would do better off to just be their own thing. And also, I would really like to see the Star Wars universe take some distance from this era in the lore. I would like to see stories very far in the past, stories very far in the future, in the same universe with the same themes and the same, science fiction rules. I think that would be a lot of fun to just kind of take it in a new direction. It's been 50 years of the Skywalker saga storytelling, 50 years of this era of the Empire and the Rebels. I think it's such a solidly well built out universe, galaxy, whatever you want to call it, that you
mhm.
could just take it and you can run wild with it with your imagination and do something completely new with it. I think they should.
I agree that I want to see some, old school stuff. Give me some old
Yeah.
Republic. I think that'd be
Yeah.
compelling. We'll see with, the was it Sean Levy is
Yep.
doing the
The
Ryan
Ryan
Gosling
Gosling one, yeah.
Starfighter one. We'll see how that goes. Again, I think Ray having her own trilogy. I feel like with those central characters, like you just need them all together, or
Yeah. I think that'd
leave
be a
them
really fun trilogy
separate.
to do very far in the future, like in another
Yeah,
10 years. That'd be a
but
lot of fun.
yeah, you know me with I love Star Wars. I had my Kenobi script and everything there.
Oh, yeah, you did.
So I've had even way back when. I think after Force Awakens, I had started planning out. I was like, what would my sequel trilogy be to these sequels before it was even finished? I
Mm,
was like thinking what I want to do. Needless to
sure.
say, had to be. It would not connect well with what they ended up doing in the sequels. But
No.
even to this day, I'm like still rattling around ideas in my head of like this would be how you can do it because I just love. We did this with like the DCEU as well, where I'm like, okay, a franchise that is poisoned and no longer is like doing well, how would you be able to bring that back and save it and repair it? And so I always love just thinking through that. And so
Mm,
I definitely would love to see my own version of bringing back Ray, Poe, and Finn and
yeah.
trying to give those characters the respect they deserve.
Mm.
And then the universe as well, try and clean things up and make things all good and similar to the original trilogy again. But instead of that, I feel like I would rather them just leave it. Of course, they're
Yep.
never going to because these are the established characters, so they're going to try and
Yep.
continue it at some point. But I would prefer if they just do the Old Republic, like just do that
Be
for a
cool.
bit. Or I know
Do some
you have
Darth
said
Revan, bro.
you wanted them to go like hundreds of years in the future.
Yeah,
And
I
Star Wars can
wanted I
do
want to
like
take the rules and logic of the Star Wars universe and just throw it hundreds of years in the future where we can just start fresh with brand new characters, brand new like governments and planets, and just have the same rules of the Force and lightsaber. See kind of what happens to the Jedi and Sith religions, in hundreds of years when we're at this point where there are really no Sith and no Jedi left. There are just Force users and these like almost extinct religions in hundreds and hundreds of years. Because my biggest problem was always in the original trilogy, and then again in this one, there are people who just don't believe in the Jedi or don't believe in the religion. And I'm like, they were huge like 30 years ago. Like
Yeah.
there was a giant Jedi temple in the center of the galaxy, in the political epicenter of the entire like structure here. A huge Jedi temple dedicated to that religion, filled with Jedi, filled
Yeah.
with Force users. Like, how can you say that they doesn't exist? How can you say the Force doesn't exist? They were just there. You can make the argument that the Empire has like suppressed that information and has like perpetuated propaganda that makes it seem like it's a myth or that the Jedi were evil and things like that. I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
And even more, you can make the argument in this trilogy because it's now been 60 years since the Jedi were ever really even popular. It's been like 2 generations since that was really a thing. But imagine like hundreds of years, no Jedi, no Sith, just the occasional Force users existing with no tutelage. Like, what happens to those religions? What happens to like the belief in the Force? Does it just go away? Is there just very few who believe in its power? Does it become weaker? Does it become stronger? These like interesting questions involving like the Force itself that I think are interesting.
Very true.
And
So
what
yeah.
kind of you could just start completely fresh with a brand new like political intrigue because it's Star Wars. There's going to be a war going on if you do any kind of mainstream topic.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing is to be surrounded around some kind of political conflict. You could make it anything you want. It doesn't have to be a rebellion fighting against an empire. It
Yeah.
can
They
be
would have
any kind of
to
war.
just fall within. We have the New Republic. It's established. It's staying. You
Yeah,
can have maybe a little civil conflicts here and there. You can have again some. They've done that in the like Legends universe. They had a different galaxy comes in, so they could do stuff like that if they wanted to, or again just like shrink down the scale. Again, let's not have a 5th iteration of a planet destroying machine that
God,
is threatening to destroy planets. Like, what if we're on one planet and the stakes are, one city is tearing itself apart, and people that we come to know and love in that city, we want to make sure are kept safe. Like, let's shrink down the stakes a little bit. I think that would be helpful for their direction in the future. So, yeah, inevitably we'll have, if not the Ray trilogy, at some point they're going to try and get them back together. Throw a lot of money at them.
oh yeah.
Hopefully they bring me on to, we'll
Will
consult.
Ryan Hill take the reins of the Star Wars franchise and bring it to new heights?
Hopefully. But
Hopefully.
I think, like Kenobi, it will definitely not happen. And so I'll just have to be sad and watch it play out
Yep.
on screen and it not be the thing that I had in my mind playing out on screen. But either way, there will be many more Star Wars films to come. As far as the sequels, they are wrapped up, and 10 years down the road, these are our thoughts on them. So I had Force Awakens at number 1 with 5 stars, followed by The Last Jedi with 3.5 stars, and then Rise of Skywalker with 2 stars. Dylan,
Yeah.
your list was?
The Last Jedi at number 1 with 4 stars. That's a low 4 stars though, and The Force Awakens just right behind at number 2 with a very high 3.5 stars. They're like neck and neck, really, to me. And then leagues below both of those is Rise of Skywalker with 1 star at number 3.
Gotcha. There you go. So we have Force Awakens lover, a Last Jedi truther, and then 2 Rise of Skywalker haters. As it seems like most people are, unfortunately. But hey, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yep. Anyway, that is all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main top theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're listening to. And be sure to tune in next week. And be sure to tune in next year when we talk about the prequels.
Oh, yeah.
The year after that for the 50th anniversary, talking about the original trilogy. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you all soon. Look forward to